Well, hello everyone, good evening, and a happy new year as well. Welcome to 2025 and welcome back to the EA Sports F1 Creator Series, of course, powered by EA Sports. My name is George Morgan. It's been a while since I've been back here, but it feels great, and I'm not alone either. Joining me once again to call the action with me on the very first round of this season's championship, Season 9, don't forget, Tom Wilkinson. Tom, how are you, sir?
Delighted. We are so back. I'm so ready for this. Loads of driver transfers. We've got people in different coloured overalls. And we're starting off with a pretty nice track. I'm pumped. Let's get going.
Yeah, I'm indeed pumped too. I tell you what, lots to look forward to. Obviously, we've been seeing the driver reveals right through the past few weeks or so. They've been distributed ever since the new year has really started. A lot of hype, a lot of build-up for this fantastic championship, and we're coming in to the final echelons of F1 24 before we breeze then onto F1 25. But this is going to be a thrill ride. Where are we heading, you might be asking? Well, I can tell you, we're going to the circuit of the Americas, and I, for one, can't wait for it all to kick off. We witnessed a fantastic title fight last season, and we had a two-time world champion. Really, I think a world drivers champion, I think for the first time, a second time, I think, Tom.
Yeah, Tim at Marduk. First driver to pick up multiple world championships, and it was the consistency. Consistency was key. I think he only had one or maybe two races where he finished off the podium, started strongly and continued that form the whole way through. And to be honest, by the end of it, nobody could touch him in a championship. I think the gap was maybe 60 plus points to Alex Gillen, who came home in second place. So he'll be looking to repeat that, but he won't be in the papaya outfit.
Yeah, well, let's take a little brief look back at what happened at the end of last season. We've got standings, of course, to take you through from Season 8. This is how it actually planned out. We've got Tiamat Marduk on 208. He was very much up at the front, very much unchallenged towards the bitter end. His close rival, Alex Gillen, of course, finishing in second on 159, and he was ahead of Meraki, who finished in third on 153. GB68 finishing in fourth, El Rey Giri, who is not with us in this season's realm of the championship. Some big changes at Red Bull for this season. Racing Chai in P6, Noiguera in P7, Zafso, the OG champion of Season 1, finishing in 8th place. Hayden Gullis, of course, now, I have rumoured to believe, is now going to become Dutch going forward, because he is moving across to that side of the water. We've got Tom as well down in 10th. Of course, he's not going to be racing here tonight, but we'll take you through the lineups and the rosters as we go on. Lolinoba finishing in 11th. Dark Viper GT, who marks a reappearance here this evening too. Formula Karim in 13th. Infratic, That Guy Vince, Dragonflies, Krizix, as well as Bushy Ants, Matty D13 and Ricky O3 as well. It was hotly contested, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, we had so many different storylines. Obviously, we've mentioned the first driver to pick up a couple of world championships. GB68 finally exiting the donut shop, getting his first win of his Creator Series career. And Alex Gillen in the second half of the season coming into some very strong form. Also the emergence of drivers like Formula Kareem at the real front end of the field. So this could potentially be the best Creator Series championship we've seen ever. And that is quite the statement to put out.
And this could be the most hotly contested one as well, 100%. I think, especially looking at the lineups. It's going to be immense. In fact, we can obviously look ahead and talk about those. But first and foremost, I think we need to introduce another member of our team. It's the man who's going to be taking the helm of the clipbook here this evening for round one. It's Joshua. Joshua, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, really looking forward to this one. It should be a really exciting one this season. Looking to be packed with plenty of action and really looking forward to picking up on all the bits that do get missed. Bringing all of the extra content. If you are looking to help out, send some clips in. You can type in the chat !Discord. That will give you a link to join up to the Creator Series Discord, and then you can go over to the Stream Clips channel, post your links in there, and then we can have a look at those and potentially get them up on the stream.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you're going to be going through and taking a deep dive into all the action, things we might not necessarily see, certainly not in necessarily as good a detail as you might be able to bring it. Tonight, we're going to COTA, Austin, Texas. Quite a few pinch points around this track. Sector 3 gets quite technical. Plenty of long straights, but there are a few convoluted areas of this track too.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of opportunity for overtakes. I think we might see a couple of crashes as well. The barriers in some places not too far away, but there is a lot of runoff in other places as well. So should be a very, very interesting one.
Yeah, and yourself, Tom, who do you think is going to really rise to the occasion? It's only our third appearance here at this track in Creator Series, so we haven't been there that often.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I remember back to Season 4, I think it was. We had an epic battle between Raz and between Meraki and between Tiamat Marduk right until the very death. Probably one of the best races we've seen in the Creator Series legacy. I'm fancying Alex Gillen tonight, though. I think he's going to kick this season off with a bang. He's made his aspirations clear. He wants to take that elusive crown that Tiamat Marduk has got, the only driver with multiple world championships. If there's anybody that I have faith to do it, I think it's Alex Gillen. To take it off his old sparring partner.
Well, you don't fancy the first ever winner around this track, Hayden Gullis? I mean, there are still some dubious accounts as to whether we actually count that race, to be honest with you. Not many of us do count that, to be honest, Tom.
The fact that Hayden ended up in the top 10 of the championship last season, anything could happen. But I mean, unfortunately for the new resident of the Netherlands, I don't think it'll quite be his day.
Yeah, it's not going to be quite the day, I think, as far as we're concerned for Hayden van der Gullis, unfortunately. Of course, we've got Racine Chai, who won it back in Season 4, who is actually going to be part of, and we'll go through, of course, like I said, all the driver changes. Obviously, we've got reserve stepping in tonight for some of the full-time drivers. He will be, in fact, yeah, we'll take you through that, folks, whilst we make our way through, because Racine Chai actually won the race here back in Season 4. He's got a new partner here tonight. It's not going to be Tom, as necessarily you will see throughout the course of this season. But this is the lineup for Texas in itself. Zafso and Alex Gillen partner up at Racing Bulls, also known as V-Carb Racing. Deathlink 10, F1 Alex for Kick F1 Sauber. We got Grid Jokes and Dark Viper GT for Aston Martin. We've got Meraki and Mr. Dale in at Red Bull. Formula Karim and Nick Fly stepping in at McLaren, with Meraki and Riccio 3 at Williams. We also have Matati and Infratic for Scuderia Ferrari. Looking at this, there are a few twists here, because obviously Meraki isn't going to be at Williams this season. He has since left that team. He has since joined Red Bull. I think that might be a slight typo on our part. But we do have Tiamat Marduk and Adam Sanderson at Mercedes, Racine Chai, Matty D13, Matty stepping in for the absent Tom here tonight at Alpine, Scott Taylor and Lolin Ober also featuring at Haas F1 team as well. And there, of course, you've got the your stunning commentary crew as well at the very bottom. Myself, George Morgan, Tom Wilkinson and Josh Richards. But yes, in finer detail as we can comb it back, Dark Viper GT stepping in for GB68 and Aston Martin. Grid Joke stepping in for Dat Guy Vince and Aston Martin as well, because of course Dat Guy Vince moving into partner GB68 here this season. Deathlink 10 coming in for Formula Kai at Kick Sauber. Matati coming in for Noiguera at Ferrari. And then Matty D13 swapping out for Tom at Alpine. Just for tonight, obviously those regular drivers will come back in and hold on to those seats. Now, for those of you who are perhaps unfamiliar with what we do here at the Creator Series, obviously there are a few caveats that we obviously do witness through the course of the season, mainly wildcards. And of course, the mainstay rule in this championship is that we will only be running softs and medium tyres for dry races. Of course, now and again, you might see the wildcard where hards will be allowed, but they are not allowed as per the standard ruling here in the Creator Series. Point system, points for P1 all the ways down to 15th, 25 points for a win, 1 point for 15th place. You also get a point for Inter's pole and also for fastest lap as long as you complete 90% minimum distance of the race. Sprint points as well for sprint weekends, 8 points for a win, 1 point for P8. So it's one down for each place. But it'll only make the championship ever more exciting, Tom.
100%. Really looking forward to it. Obviously carrying over the hard tyre rule. I think it worked really well last season. Obviously the hard tyres, very, very good on this game. You can pretty much do the entire distance on those tyres, which is not something that we particularly want to see. Obviously we've got loads of different race formats to talk about as well. Changing the standard format to just this one short qualifying session, 18 minutes, and then going straight into the 100% race. The full qualifying sessions will still make some appearances throughout the season, along with, and we saw it back in Las Vegas a couple of months ago, the 250% race format. That created some really interesting dynamics. That's going to be returning as well.
Yeah, and I tell you what, going back to obviously to the lineups here this evening, of course we've witnessed the constructors title go Aston Martin's way for the last 2 seasons. It's quite interesting that they're not going to have both their regular drivers here in this opening round. So they're going from being the domineering team over the last 2 seasons. Now all of a sudden, both their mainstay drivers coming into the first round, not actually here. So they're coming in with 2 sub drivers. So does that put Aston on the back foot this time, Tom?
Potentially, but if we look at how last season shaped up, Aston Martin, it was a late charge towards McLaren, who for the majority of the season, Tiamat Marduk and Punju, were leading that Constructors' Championship. I think they only lost it coming into the final race of the year. So Aston Martin, they've obviously got the headline driver in GB, who's just becoming more and more competitive, coming stronger and stronger. If he has good attendance this season, GB I think will definitely be a championship contender. Vince backing up exceptionally well. But I think the guys that are coming in are going to have a very, very solid afternoon. We've seen Dark Viper GT, excellent performance.
Yeah, obviously has done well in the past. Aston Martin, the only team, in fact, to go back-to-back in terms of winning championship titles. There have been, of course, other teams that have won more than one championship. Alpine have done that themselves. McLaren also doing the same too. But as you can see, qualifying very much underway. And there's a nice tidbit, nice fact as well. Zafso finished P8 in the championship last season. The season 1 champion hasn't won in 609 days. That is a stat I'm sure, Tom, he's going to be very keen to squash.
And he was just getting a little bit closer. We were starting to see last season flashes of the old Safso. Got back onto the podium, had a couple of P4 and P5 finishes as well. If we can continue to see that state of improvement, Safso getting back to what he was able to achieve on F1 22 in particular, Safso could be a real contender.
Could be, and it's actually a very strong lineup at Racing Bulls. Obviously, we've got Alex Gillen and Zafso partnering together. Alex Gillen, also a former World Drivers' Champion, dating all the way back in Season 2, and is no stranger to victories either. He's managed to storm to 19 of them with 29 podiums and 47 top 10s. For Zafso, he's won 2 races, 10 podiums and 65 top 10s in his own right. Statistically, the strongest pairing together. Zafso winning in Season 1, remember, the Drivers' Championship, and then Gillen winning it the following season. Could it be the case that they could visit the top once more as you now watch Zafso round the final quarter? Remember, this is the Inter's tyre realm. Zafso immediately going to the top as expected, but Lolinova now taking that spot away. 6 thousandths faster than Zafso there down in second place, and now Zafso's teammate Alex Gillen relieves Lolinova from that top spot with a 1:34, and that enables him to go to the top with 13 minutes and 40 to go. But we've still got plenty of other names coming across the line. Dale goes 4th fastest as well, once again still in the Red Bull team, and Racing Chai in the Alpine, who I'm sure will also be looking to feature up at the sharp end. Green in the first 2 sectors as you'd expect, but purple sectors coming in from the likes of Adam Sanderson, and also coming through from the man in P19 who was in P19. It was actually Matati. He was fastest in the first sector. Adam Sanderson, though, has taken it away from him. Razin goes 4th fastest.
Yeah, Razin Chai, this is going to be an interesting season for Razin. Had the highest picked up, I think it was 3 victories last season, driving in the Scarlet Red of Ferrari, but had a lot of troughs as well. Had some really unfortunate weekends and had somewhere it's just miles off the pace as well. Tim McMardock over 3.5 tenths nearly off the back of Alex Gillen. So that Inter's time from the Season 2 champ looking very, very strong indeed. Remember, you need to get it within the first 12 minutes of the session. Looking very, very rosy for Alex Gillen currently. But yeah, big season coming up for Razin Chai. Former champion, needs to try and get back to those heights more consistently.
Yeah, Alex Gillen, though, currently up at the top and holding all the cards on the Inter's tyre pole. And, of course, remember, if you get that, that is 1 additional championship point that will go towards your standing. And all these points do matter at the end of each individual season. Very much akin, in fact, to the current F1 Sim Racing World Championship ruling, with, of course, the 1 point going to pole position that Ismail Fassi has managed to gain. Meraki managing to go 2nd as well, just outside 1/10 of a second, very nearly 1/10 and a quarter behind Alex Gillen, who is still holding all the cards. Tiamat Marduk down in 3rd, currently in the Mercedes. Lolinova in 4th as well. And currently, as it stands, Alex Gillen now, in fact, I think it's confirmed, he has taken the Inter's pole time, Tom.
And that's the perfect start. He is officially the championship leader, has an extra point to his name, 1 compared to the 0 of everybody else. And Alex Gillen, if he was dreaming last night how his Creator Series Season 9 would have kicked off, I think this would have been the way it started. He's got to convert that, though.
Yeah, well, that means now that he is championship leader. So congratulations to Alex Gillen, at least for now. But now we're going to be seeing the soft tyres, I'm sure, reverberate here around Texas. Of course, this circuit, 3.427 miles, 5.515 kilometres, opened back in 2012. And this circuit has brought plenty of drama. Adam Sanderson goes to the top, 1:32.487. Remember, this is a short qualifying format, so no concerns of elimination as Dark Viper GT takes a bit of a detour off circuit. Rejoins, though, no harm done by the looks of it. Has kept all his end plates on his front wing, but already now Sanderson up at the front. But bear in mind, every single lap time in that top 10 and just outside it as well, it's all been done on intermediate, so expect faster times, because Scott Taylor's going green, as is Dark Viper, and F1 Alex, he's also purple in that middle sector, 36.7.
Yeah, looks like Adam Sanderson is going to get bumped down. If he can get anywhere near his teammate Tim at Marduk, though, he's going to be a very, very happy bunny. F1 Alex making his full-time debut in the F1 Creator Series, one of the legends of the formerly known F2 Creator Series, attacking these final couple of corners. Got to be careful of that sausage curb on the inside, because it can spit you off into the runoff areas. Lewis Hamilton found out to his detriment in the real-life race, cutting the beam, and we're just over 2/10 off the back of the Silver Arrow for the Kick Sauber.
Yeah. Decent banker, though, to build upon. Of course, he still has 10 minutes to register a faster lap, so plenty of time. Scott Taylor, as we said before, also out on track and looking to find an improvement. He's currently 10th fastest at this stage, just breaking over the crest, downhill in towards turn 11. Of course, coming out of this corner, this is where you'll see one of the longest straights on the calendar to a certain degree, and it's not at the home straight either, but you'll get a nice run with DRS, and as we know from the F1 24 game, the slipstream itself is extremely powerful around this circuit. So in fact, in most circuits that harbour exceedingly long straights as well, and I'm sure we'll see many of them through the course of season 9. But Scott Taylor will look to try and dig deep, obviously not going full throttle on this particular lap, but I'm sure he will be back as we now watch him make his way through sector 2 and sector 3 proper. As you can see, yellow flags coming up as well. Invalid lap for Infratic, who seems to be having trouble with track limits and comes into the pits, but he has got into zone.
Yeah, not a particularly good omen when you can't get your banker lap in, albeit on the green striped intermediate tyres. Dark Viper jumping up into third. We saw him making a little mistake earlier on in the session, 1.3 seconds off the back of Adam Sanderson. These drivers are going to have to treat these soft tyres like gold dust. They're incredibly valuable, especially since we got rid of the hard compact tyres. They're not a particularly good race tyre here at COTA, but yeah, a lot of drivers are going to be saving them, in particular if we see a late race safety car.
Yeah, Matty D13 stepping in for Tom, goes fastest now by a clear near half a second. That is a fantastic lap for Matty D13 to really heat this qualifying session up somewhat. Purple in the final 2 sectors and looking exceedingly strong. That's a 1:32.014 and only the 4th soft tyre time that we have seen entered into the top 10. As now we watch and right on board with Formula Karim on the run down towards turn 12, whipping that rear end out of that McLaren. The Papaya itself now looking to strike it in position on all those up at the front here in the final echelons of qualifying. Still 8 minutes to go though, plenty of time. Just try and keep you cool. You'll need that, especially coming through, I call it the hexagonal, but there's not quite 6 corners coming around this in-swinger. But Tom, he needs to be dialed in on this one.
It is a beautiful final sector, isn't it? Once you're in the groove and in the flow, it can feel incredible to drive. A little bit wide of the apex going through turn number 19 as Safso lowers the benchmark by a further 0.4 per second. First driver comfortably into the 31s. Scratch that, because Formula Cream is into the 1:30s. 1:30.7, 8/10 clear of the season 1 champ. That is a benchmark firmly laid down to the rest of his competitors.
Fantastic lap indeed for Formula Karim, who now holds once more all the cards up at the front end. Is not actually featured on the podium at all. No wins, no podiums. 4 top 10s though, however, and hasn't started that many races. So you could argue, Tom, that with this being his first official season, that he'll have every chance of changing those 0s to 1s at the very least, and maybe more as we make our way through the campaign. Alex Gillen, fastest in the first sector. He's also showing personal improvements in sector 2, so this could be a stonking lap as well for Gillen, who in himself is obviously, like we said before, a champion in the past. Has also got some grand numbers in terms of race victories. He's got 19 of them in total. Dark Viper GT having more problems going off track in the mean green Aston Martin, as we now await Gillen to cross the line, and he does go second fastest, dropping that time a little bit to Formula Karim. That purple first sector not enough to take him to the top. He's a little bit short in sectors 2 and 3.
Yeah, that will concern Alex Gillen a little bit. 0.3 per second is a decent enough margin after the first flying laps. Ricky slots in between the 2 V-carbs with a 1:31.5 there for the beautiful blue Williams car. His teammate Hayden Gullis, I don't believe, has made an appearance so far in the first half of this qualifying session. Just over 6 minutes to go, and we still don't have a lot of drivers that have set representative times.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden Gullis is going to be feeling, I think, a little peeved with me, because despite the first win, or his first win, supposedly coming from this very circuit back in season 1, I've actually written 0 wins on my notes against him. So sorry, Hayden, my pen has spoken. My producer, Gareth Allen, I can tell you, our producer here, Tom, telling us that it is 0 wins. So Hayden, if you want to lodge a complaint, Gareth Allen's your man.
Yeah, he's trying to nab that pole position from Brazil in the previous season where he qualified last, but then we had a reverse grid, so he started from pole position. We're not handing you that, and we're not handing you that race win either, Hayden. Grid Jokes jumping up just inside the top 5, 1.1 seconds off the back of Formula Kareem.
Yeah, Grid Jokes now managing to land a decent time on the board. 5th fastest now, just ahead of Matti D13. Matati, from Matti to Matati, who is now currently down in 17th, looking to try and raise the stakes for the Scuderia Ferrari team. The witness success with Tiamat Marduk, who can forget that incredible Season 6 duel all the way back. A little slider for Matati, that might cost him a little bit of time, but it certainly doesn't take him away from the second row of the grid, albeit provisionally. 3rd fastest for Matati, a grandiose visit. And Adam Sanderson invalidating his run, and he's not alone. Mr. Dale invalidating, as well as Deathlink. He also invalidated, as did Nick Flies, and Dark Viper GT has invalidated again as well. So already the pressure starting to loom and mount in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a few more invalidations, not just in qualifying, but a lot of corner cutting penalties in the race as well. With how technical that first sector is, how precise you have to be going through those beautiful sweeps of turns 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and up towards turn number 10. I think we're going to be seeing plenty of penalties. 3 seconds, 6 seconds, maybe even 9. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, as you can see, the stats of Tiamat Marduk, we alluded to that fantastic championship victory back in Season 6, and it certainly was. It was decided at the final corner with M Sky Z on the run down towards the start-finish line at Paul Ricard, and here comes the Aussie once more, up towards the line to begin yet another lap. He's in 15th, 4.2 seconds off the top. It's a gargantuan mountain to climb. His last run, his last official run was on intermediate tyres where he set a lap. He's left it all to the very last minute, and his nemesis is currently sat on the front row, that being Alex Gillen. Can Tiamat Marduk topple him and Karim and go to the top for the start of a brand new campaign and a potential 3rd championship quest?
Yeah, and there's a lovely little gap that you would imagine Ben is going to be looking at between Kareem and Alex Gillen, 0.3 per second just to slot into. Look pretty neat and tidy through the first set, rotating nicely through turn number 11 as well, putting the power to the floor in this long straight down into turn number 12. How can he attack it? It's looked pretty decent so far for Ben.
It is, it's looking smart, it has to be said. I must say, it's 25.9 in that first sector, though I must say we are seeing 24.9s, 24.8s. Though saying that, it's just updated on my screen. It's in fact 24.8 for Benjamin Daly, not too far away, in fact, from Alex Gillen, who is in the very early 24.8s, and it's a 36.2 as well in the middle. So that, in fact, was 0.2 faster of the realm of Alex Gillen. So there's a big chance here for Benjamin Daly to enter himself onto the front row, but this 3rd sector is going to be oh so vital. Where is our reigning champion, 2-time champion here in the F1 Creator Series, going to go? Just behind Gillen, he will go 3rd place and 2nd row of the grid, but that might not be the story. Rasin Chai, purple in the first sector and green in the middle. Every chance to cause a stir for Alpine. His teammate Matti D13 here in this round, currently down in 8th spot. He's on an outlap. Can Rasin Chai levy it Enstone's way as he opens up the DRS? 2nd fastest, just behind Karim. He cannot be toppled in Papaya.
He was playing it very dangerously with the track limits through the penultimate corner, right up against the white line as F1 Alex has a bit of a wobble through the final corner, but jumps up into the top 10. Decent little out there for the kick Sauber. Tiamat Marduk, I think, will be a little bit disappointed. Was again similar to Razin, playing with fire on the track limits coming through turn number 19. Had a bit of a wobble on the entry into turn number 20 as well. So in particular in the final sector, there's still time for Tiamat Marduk left on the table.
Yeah, still time for Hayden Gullis too. He's on a fast run and he's showing personal improvements as you'd expect in the first 2 sectors, but he has to because he has not yet set a valid lap time yet onto the board. So he's got to go from 0 to hero in a matter of moments. He's on the red wall tyre. Can he turn it into something special? DRS open, only 16th fastest and 3.1 off the top. Surely he has to find something in the dire moments, and it's going to have to be now because we're coming down to the final minute, and he crunches the car immediately. Gullis out spectacularly in qualifying. That's exactly why we don't count that first victory here at COTA.
Yeah, you're not a race winner if you're performing acts like that up that huge climb into turn number 1. Didn't look particularly stable through the middle sector, it has to be said, saying see you later to his front right tyre, slamming it straight into the barrier. Emphatic, the only other driver yet to set a time at the moment in that second beautiful scarlet red Ferrari car. Going to get a lovely little slipstream here from what I think is Tiamat Malik, his former teammate, down into turn number 12.
Yeah. Fabio, of course, remember, part of that Tiamat Marduk combination that would go on to win the title. Of course, he wasn't actually racing back at Paul Ricard for that championship finale. Of course, it was Dragonflies who stepped in and, of course, caused a little bit of controversy after his accident caused that last safety car that brought them all together. And, of course, it led to, of course, many questions, I'm sure, documented around the chat. But we all know, of course, that Tiamat Marduk won that battle fair and square against M. Sky Z. It was such an immense battle throughout the course of the season. Fantastic storytelling as well between the two. But now we watch Fabio to see whether he can enter his own chapter here in the Creator Series season 9. Goes 13th fastest, just behind Nick Flies. As I said, that, of course, being Dragonflies of old. He is now Nick Flies here this season. Rasin Chai second fastest. We're now into stoppage time here in qualifying, so the final remaining laps. Only one driver has taken the checkered, aside from Hayden Gullis' crash, and that's F1 Alex. Deathlink currently sat in 15th place and looking for a huge improvement. We have got improvements from Riccio 3 at the moment. He's green in the first two sectors, and Dark Viper GT also on a personal improvement as well. Rasin Chai also green in the first sector. Here comes Deathlink to try and close out this qualifying. We've got such a flurry of cars coming through this time. Deathlink only enough for 11th fastest, just ahead of his teammate F1 Alex. Here comes Riccio 3 looking to put the cherry on top of the Bakewell cake, coming through the final corner now, this time at turn 20. Where's he going to go? Second and fastest, Rasin Chai down to third. Nick Flies goes into 10th, and that is where he will stay. We got Matati going third as well, once more relegating Rasin Chai down to fourth. Here comes Alex Gillen. He goes second, back onto the front row of the grid here this time around. Lolinoba up to seventh. Meraki only enough for eighth. Formula Karim goes faster again, 1:36.96, and nearly 1 3/4 tenths faster than Gillen in second place. Scott Taylor goes into 11th fastest for Haas, and further down Adam Sanderson into the pits, will not finish. And Infratic, of course, still yet to cross the line. He'll come into the pits as well. Your first pole sitter here, and it's his first as well. Formula Karim on pole to commence the Creator Series Season 9.
Super Kareem taking it by a pretty comfortable margin as well. Alex Gillen putting out that late run to get himself back onto the front row. And then a couple of drivers humbling some of the more established runners. Riccio 3, fantastic lap to get into third. And Matati on his Creator Series debut, out-qualifying not only Rasin Chai, but the reigning champion as well.
The man who only registered 4 top 10s in his prior appearances has got himself a full-time seat at McLaren. No wins, no podiums, but he's registered his first pole, and every chance now to go from pole to victory. He'll be looking to try and, should we say, usher in some of that Ismail Fassi talent here this time. Of course, we saw him go from pole to victory in the very first round of the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. Will we see the same thing happen again, this time in the first round of the EA Sports F1 Creator Series? We'll soon find out. Alex Gillen, I'm sure, will be absolutely thrilled with his first front row appearance of the season. Of course, getting this series underway, of course, had 6 poles in the past, but it's not to be 7 this time. He'll have to wait yet another day, but he does hold 19 wins. Can he grab his 20th? Let's take you through the final standings after final classification. Formula Karim, fastest of all, takes his first pole in his Creator Series career. We got Alex Gillen in second, Riccio 3 third, Matati 4th, Rasin Chai 5th with Tiamat Marduk in 6th, Lolinoba in 7th, Meraki in 8th. We got Grid Jokes in 9th, Zafso 10th, Scott Taylor in 11th, Nick Flies in 12th, Dark Viper GT in 13th, Deathlink in 14th with F1 Alex down in 15th. We then have in 16th, Matty D13, Infratic in 17th, Mr. Dale JE 18th, Adam Sanderson 19th, and Hayden Gullis in 20th spot after that spectacular crash after registering his final lap. Truly a thrill ride at COTA to get us started. Austin, Texas, not disappointing us one iota. What do you make of it, Tom?
brilliant qualifying session, not only at the front, but the midfield as well. I don't know how many people caught it, but I think it was just 0.4 of a second from 10th down to 17th place. So the scrap for the low reach of the points paying positions is going to be absolutely epic. But Formula Kareem, we've seen how quick he can be. Hasn't always had the rub of the green in his Creator Series appearances so far. Is the reigning Formula 2 champion and hoping to become the F1 Creator Series champion as well. Best way to start it off.
It certainly is. Now, obviously, we got to talk about it. I mean, certain drivers using only one set of additional tyres, others using extras. Formula Krim didn't actually set a time on Inters. So obviously his installation lap and one of his initial banker laps was actually done on a set of soft tyres. So it wasn't the case that he had time to necessarily, acclimatise himself to the lobby or the circuit in itself. He was quite content with just going straight out, banging the lap straight in. Now, is that something to look at? Is that should we say, the mark of a potential champion when we come to the end of this 13-race season?
I think it shows confidence. We saw him oozing confidence, especially with how he was attacking the first sector on his final qualifying lap. And both of the laps he set in qualifying were good enough for pole position. I think that probably says it all. Yeah,
well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of clips as well to take away from this time around. I want to go across to Joshua, of course, standing by in our Clipbook Central. Joshua, what did you make of qualifying? Anything to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, it was a relatively straightforward session for the most part. There wasn't really much to spot. I did notice this earlier on in the session, about 8 minutes to go. Dark Viper coming through the first sector, getting a bit out of shape through the S's, and ended with a spin. With such a close grid that we have this season, I think these small mistakes, they could knock your confidence a bit, and that could really be the difference between a couple of places in the qualifying session.
Yeah, Josh, obviously that's going to hinder him somewhat. Of course, it wasn't the only time we saw him dip off into the side escape road, etc. I mean, Tom, he's got to try and battle against these issues. Remember, track limits is obviously vital to manage, in a track like COTA, especially when we talk about the tricky final sector coming out of Sector 2 as well. He can't really afford to do this when we go into the race.
Yeah, there are a couple of tricky traction zones, and if you're not confident in not only the front of your car, but the rear end of your car in particular, you are going to be taking a few pirouettes and a few whoopsies as the lap and the race progresses. So, going to have to clean that up. We've seen over the years the pace that Dark Viper has got. If he can pull it out and try and improve on the consistency. Team at Marduk was a perfect example last season. We said it at the start of the broadcast. If you're consistently wrapping up points, wrapping up decent results, keeping your nose clean, you're going to have a very, very successful season.
Certainly will. Scott Taylor getting some much needed hydration in prior to us going into this 100% race, and looking as excited as ever. I'm sure many of them are as well. Probably a little bit of tension there as well. Nick Flies has already been disqualified, as has Hayden Gullis, so not leaving any stone unturned whatsoever. Of course, not necessarily conforming to the required phase of the formation lap, and therefore will form up as they will when they reach the grid. The only thing is that might affect them when they get this race underway, but we'll wait and see. Adam Sanderson returns to a full-time seat in the F1 Creator Series for the first time since Season 4. Season campaigner, and as we all know, he's Devon Butler through and through. And we might see some of that attitude show on track again this time.
Well, he's going to have to do it. Starting from 19th, and we have to discount Hayden Gullis because he was over 3 seconds off the benchmark pace. But that'll be concerning not only for Mr. Sanderson, but for Tim at Marduk as well in his attempts to try and pick up that Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, certainly will. Let's see whether he can set the tone for what could be a stellar campaign. Just a little reminder, remember, softs and medium tyres only. They can't use the hards. Scoring point system, first 25 points all the way down to 15th place, where you can garner 1 solitary point. Remember, of course, 1 point for Inter's pole, which has gone Formula Karim's way. Sorry, not Formula Karim's way. It's gone, obviously, Alex Gillen's way, but also the fastest lap, 1 point going to whoever obtains that fastest lap and completes 90% minimum of the race. Remember, of course, when we get down to sprint racing as well, 8 points for a win, all the way down to 8th place where you get 1 point as well. But you don't get a fastest lap point in the sprint. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it later into the campaign. But here we go. They're lining up onto the grid here at Austin, Texas. 20 cars set to run all the way up towards turn 1. Who is bravest on the brakes? It's going to be quite a high elevated ascend uphill. Let's wait and see who's going to storm turn 1 first as we now get set for racing. on the front row. Formula Karim on the left-hand side, and they'll put pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 and it's Formula Karim who gets a very good start, tries to cover off Alex Gillen straight away, but Gillen with the inside, he's going to send the Racing Bulls up the inside once more, but Karim with the overspeed was able to carry it and withstand the pressure and hold the lead. Ricky 03 in third place, Matati in fourth as well, Zavso and Scott Taylor going at it in the middle of the park as well, Taylor having to forfeit against Zavso this time. Season 1 champion holds on to that top 10 place. Matty D13 also cutting it up with Infratic as well.
Meraki trying to stick one over on Lolinoba, going through the very tricky sequence of corners 7, 8 and 9 now, trying to send her around the outside under braking into turn number 11, going to run out of road there. So both of these two ahead of the reigning champion. Tim McMarlock started 6th, did not get off the grid well, finds himself down in 8th.
Yeah, Tim McMarlock now reduced down to 8th place, just ahead of his, just ahead of the Aston Martin of Grid Joke. Safso down in 10th as well, as we now watch them fan out, heading down through towards the next left-hander coming out of turn 12, and that's Deathlink. In fact, he's trying to go toe-to-toe with Dark Viper GT, who, as we saw, had a few issues in qualifying. He's put those to bed for now, it seems, because he's still ahead of Deathlink, has not forfeited a place just yet, but they're all starting to tie up now, heading through the latter sector. It's Karim, though, who leads the way by just under 6.5 tenths of a second. Meraki already on the tail of Lolinoba and has managed to find a way through the inside, just could not quite carry it, but going wide is Lolinoba. He can't afford to do many of those, but Meraki not looking for that overtake very early on quite yet. Fastest lap, as you'd expect, going Karim's way, getting lap 1 and done. And now we're on lap 2 as they take the run up through towards turn 1. Grid Jokes, it's looking like he's going to have a look up the inside of Tim Marduk. Will he go wheel to wheel? Not quite. Tim Marduk holding on to that 8th spot.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, Ben, because if he starts to fall down a further couple of places, say Grid Jokes get through, say Safso gets through as well, that'll be a disastrous start. And now be thinking, gosh, I can't let this snowball even more and lose even further places. So he's got to try and stabilise at the moment, hold station in 8th place, had a little look around the outside of Meraki on the previous lap into turn number 12, couldn't make it stick. Just got to be careful here.
Yeah, he's got to be very careful indeed. It wouldn't have been so bad if he started on medium tyres, because we could have put it down to strategy. But obviously, they're all on the softs from Ps 1 all the way down to Ps 11. So he'll need to try and make some of those places back. Obviously, not getting a very easy start. We know how tenacious Meraki is. Of course, he and Tiamat Marduk had their own title fight, which was very controversial when we reached Spa all that time ago. In fact, that was the Season 4 championship where Meraki would win it with Williams. Of course, McLaren would become Constructors champions back then. But, of course, Tiamat Marduk very close to being what could have been, now at this point, a 3 times champion here in the F1 Creator Series, brought to you by EA Sports. Nick Flies, currently down in 12th place, has got Scott Taylor all over his tail. There's a little gap starting to formulate between Flies and Dark Viper GT. It's coming up to 8 tenths of a second. Can't afford to lose DRS here, because that'll be I suppose a rough consequence for all those behind him as well, because it's going to make trying to catch up to Dark Viper and the rest of the cars that are in front very tricky indeed, and it could cause a problem with strategy.
Yeah, 100%. Meraki on the move and in the groove into turn number 1, having a little look up the inside of Lolinoba, darting over to the middle of the circuit, going to continue to race it out through the long right-hander of turn number 2 and into the kinks of 3, 4 and 5. Who's going to be brave? Is anyone willing to back out? It's the house of Lolinoba. Meraki up into 6th.
Yeah, former champion moving up into 6th place. Lolinoba losing out. It was coming. Meraki did threaten him a couple of laps ago coming through Sector 3, but this time his patience ran thin, did Meraki, and he got the move done. Adam Sanderson moving up to 15th as well, just ahead of F1 Alex, as we ride on board with Ricky 03 coming down in towards turn 11 and getting a lovely run at the inside, just could not quite power it through down the long straight, and Gillen forced, or should I say Ricky forced to wait in behind Alex Gillen. Formula Karim getting a nice breezy run so far, is towing along the Racing Bull in behind, but look at this, very aggressive here from Ricky 03, and covering it off straight away goes Alex Gillen, but not only that, utilising it to potentially jump Karim for that first place spot. Wasn't able to carry it out, coming through the latter sectors this time, coming through 13, 14 and 15. It was more a defensive manoeuvre rather than offensive, but Karim very nearly lost out anyway.
Meraki losing out though. He's lost a couple of places. Lolinoba filing back through, and Tim Marduk opportunistic as ever, taking advantage of the little bit of a mistake shown by the Red Bull driver, the former chap, and now Grid Jokes is through as well. Does Meraki potentially have a little bit of damage, because he's leaking places quite considerably?
It does make you wonder. Remember, he does hold the fastest lap of the race. He set a 1:36.059 previously, but it looks like that pace might have left him ever so slightly, at least for now. Tim Marduk now moving up back into 7th place. Nick flies up the inside, a tap in the rear of Dart Viper GT as Scott Taylor looked to try and find a way around, coming through turn 1, wasn't able to find one, instead met the rear diffuser of the Aston Martin as they now fly through the initial sector, coming through the S-bends, now coming through turn 6 and 7 before they then reach turn 8 and turns 9, coming down the crest out of turn 10 and towards turn 11. Caution in the first 2 sectors, and that's the yellow flag, and Deathlink is out, and a safety car has been brought out onto the circuit. Deathlink out, Kick Sauber down to 1 car this time around, and unfortunately now for them, safety car is out. This is good news though for Adam Sanderson, who was over a second outside, as was Infratic, who was 1.6 behind Sanderson. They can now recover.
Yeah, and I think that's around about where Deathlink was holding station in 14th or 15th or so. So it will be interesting to see if there was maybe a little bit of contact between the Kick Sauber and one of the surrounding cars. But we do have our first retiree and we have our first safety car, only taking 4 laps here at COTA.
Yeah, incredible stuff indeed. Formula Karim will now take the cars through. They'll have to come down to Delta pace though. And if they don't, of course, they will get penalised. Mr. Dale J.E., speaking of being penalised, he's already got 1 penalty against his name. The only driver to have a penalty against his name. And as we're now watching them head through down towards this next left. Now, will we see the first pit stops now be undertaken? Karim not thinking about it just yet. Or is he? No, he's coming in. So Karim now coming into the pits. That's our first official stop. Gillen comes in as well. Ricky 03. It looks like he was trying to sell the dummy a little bit, Tom. Left it very late coming in to the pit lane. So, yeah, quite the twist. But it looks like everyone's coming in to join him.
Yeah, only a couple of drivers staying out. The other McLaren of Nick Flies obviously didn't want to queue behind his teammate Scott Taylor, staying out as well, trying to get that track position. Those guys that started on the mediums, they're going to still be a pretty decent tyre. You don't want to waste that golden stripe tyre. And after 4 laps, you want to try and extend that maybe another 20 or so in this race. So I think that's the only viable decision that the 4 that have stayed out could take.
Yeah, I think that's, you want to save your arsenal at the end of the day. You've only got so many tyres you can work with, and the medium tyres are essentially priceless, especially now considering we have no hard tyre that they can effectively use. Of course, otherwise they'll be penalised for using it. But Nick Flies and Scott Taylor, Matty D13, Hayden Gullis are the top 4 currently, but of course the only ones that have yet to pit. Formula Karim, of course, your current, you could say net race leader at this point on fresher medium tyres. There won't be necessarily too much of a pace deficit between those on the 4-lap old mediums to those on the 0-lap medium tyres, but it might come into fruition later on in the stint where those 4-lap old mediums start to die off there, Tom.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Formula Karim not going to quite have it all his own way, although Hayden Gullis, the first driver he has to get past, that will either be incredibly easy or incredibly difficult, and Karim has to make sure he doesn't end up upside down on the run into turn number 1. Tim Marduk, interestingly, the only driver that came in to stick on another set of the soft compound tyres. Watch this space. Ben looking to make up places.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And speaking of cases, let's see if we can crack a few with Joshua Richards. Joshua, over to you.
Yeah, well, just got the clip here of what's happened. Definitely bringing out the safety car that we're currently under. So he's making his way through the first sector. We've seen quite a few drivers struggling. Oh, frame rate not looking too great. We'll try that again. Not too sure. It was working a second ago. Let me try bringing the quality down. This is not working. There we go. This looks a bit better. So yeah, he's coming through the first sector. Has a bit of a snap here. Just as he makes his way over the curbs, and then as he makes his way up the hill, very similar to what happened to Dark Viper actually, just loses the rear of the car. There wasn't any contact with anyone, and the front right unfortunately getting ripped clean off of the car there, and that is his race over. Before it really got started, another clip here, Dale as well on lap 1, a little bit further on through the first sector, also having troubles with the rear end of the car as he was making his way up the hill. He's been known for his DNFs, and this was very nearly another one as he almost lost the car there in towards the barriers. Fortunately, managed to keep going, lost a couple of positions that he made on that opening lap, though.
Yeah, struggles for Mr. Dale. Thank you so much, Joshua, for all of that coverage. And yes, this very trying and tough start for Deathlink, has to be said, to open up this season. And also for Mr. Dale, who, of course, is the only man to have a penalty against his name so early on into the race. Yeah,
and that would have been a heart-in-mouth moment, a bit of a Code Brown moment, if you will. I think as he ended up sideways coming up the hill thinking, oh no, here we go again, but did very well to collect the slide, get himself back in the race, get himself back into a rhythm, has picked up that penalty, but look at that, over a 50% DNF rate. It's actually 60%, 36 out of 60. Thankfully, not making it 37 just yet. I'm not going to rule it out though.
Yeah, stop laughing, Tom.
Sorry. I can't help myself sometimes.
I'm joking. No, that's a really difficult stat as well for Mr. Dale. But we all know that it does apply epic content as part of the Creator Series. Of course, we've seen many a great Dale reaction in the past. I remember one in particular back at Austria, I think, a number of seasons ago, coming around the final corner. But yeah, of course, Dale, one of the long servants of the F1 Creator Series, has been part of this since the very beginning, and it's always great to have him here with us too, and I'm sure he'd be looking to try and fight up the order. He's actually had some good results though in the past, despite obviously that DNF record. 2 top 10s in his history, of course, despite there being no wins and no podiums. He'd be looking for something a little extra though, however, I'm sure. Safety car still out as the cars are now started to back up. Nick Fly's now taking them around. 10-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. That's drama, and Sanderson also getting one as well. So that's Safso and Sanderson both receiving huge penalties.
Huge kerfuffle. I think Dark Viper might be involved in this as well. Maybe more penalties going to be handed out. This is going to be an absolute race ruiner for Safso. Adam Sanderson managing to recover. They've got to try and catch the back of the snake, which they should do because they haven't reached the penultimate corner. But a very, very strange one there. You don't usually see those 10-second penalties handed out unless it's a blatant overtake. But we are going very, very early restart. Formula Cream already up the inside of Hayden Gullis into the penultimate corner. Couldn't quite force that Papaya McLaren far enough alongside.
Yeah, we're going pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. The opening race of Season 9 in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. Nick Flies takes them up towards Turn 1. He indeed flies through towards Turn 1. In behind comes Scott Taylor. Formula Karim already coming up nose to tail with Hayden Gullis. That became side by side, and that became Formula Karim into 4th as well. Further back, Hayden Gullis forfeiting against his own teammate. Ricciardo 3 moves up into 6th. Alex Gillen up to 5th as well. So Gullis starting to lose places, hand over fist, and Matati could be next.
Yeah, leaking positions faster than Tottenham leak goals at the minute. I think he's going to drop further down the field, you would imagine. Matati, very, very quick. Bit of a wobble for the Williams coming out of turn number 9, moving over to the middle of the circuit now to defend down to turn number 10. Surely Matati's going to be braver on the brakes. Hayden Gullis, not always the easiest of drivers to pass. Nolan Ober and Tim McMahon getting stuck into each other as well in the battle for 10th and 11th. Look at this gaggle of cars. Razin Chai potentially thinking about picking up a couple of places.
Yeah, and Scott Taylor also going for the lead as well as they now make their way down through towards turn 12. Side by side, in comes Matty D13 as well, subbing in for Tom at Alpine. Can't quite get past Nick Flies, but Scotty Taylor will take the lead here in this Creator Series race at Austin, Texas. A fabulous run coming down towards turn 12. Lolin Ober and Hayden Gullis going at it as well, coming out of sector 2 and towards sector 3. Grid jokes, Matati losing out. It's not Hakuna Matati, it's not a wonderful phrase. He's now coming under a huge battle with Dark Viper as well. Meraki and Gullis going side by side through the final sector. Can Gullis try and starve off the Red Bull? Up the inside now comes Tiermet Marduk with a blissful double overtake. The Silver Arrow moves well and truly into the top 10, and his teammate Adam Sanderson comes up to join him. Despite being on 10 seconds of time penalties, he is still furiously fighting, and the Aussie as well in 9th spot, now chasing after Lolin Ober in pursuit of further points.
Well, we know that he doesn't usually follow the overtaking manual. Double overtake into the final corner. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And of course, it's Tim McMahon, the first driver to pull it off. Absolutely textbook stuff. Can now chase back after that Haas, who he was dueling with a few moments ago. Formula Cream, excellent run out of turn number 9 and 10. Thank you very much as he's back up onto the podium.
Yeah, indeed. Formula Karim, remember, race leader prior to the pit stop, so you're still technically your net race leader, having only utilised 3 laps on those medium tyres. Now Scott Taylor coming under pressure. Nick Flies now bursting to retake that lead that he had prior, but Formula Karim, his teammate, is going to swiftly move alongside, and it's now a papaya wall up at the front, but Matty D13 looking to bring it all back down again as they come through out of sector 2 through towards sector 3. Matty now trying to hold that inside line for the Endstone team, but still this time it's the inside for Nick Flies coming in towards Sector 3 proper. The man in Papaya against the man in blue and pink. Matty D13 looking to open up that throttle, heading around turn 17, and he has done. He has taken second place. Scott Taylor down in fourth, and has got Gillen all over his wheel tracks right now as they come into the final bend, and Gillen is on the attack.
But this is not good news for the Season 2 champion, because look at this, Formula Cream has absolutely scarpered out in front, 1.2 seconds clear of this jostling group behind. Alex Gillen's going to get past Scott Taylor, potentially think about setting out the inside of Nick Flies into turn number 1, thinking better of it. But off the circuit goes Matty D13, going to relinquish second position straight back to the McLaren of Nick Flies. Alex Gillen, please, and thank yous as he swoops around the outside as well. Big blunder for the Alpine.
Yeah, Gillen pounced straight away and had to as well. At the moment, Formula Karim has started to turn tail and run. He is 1.7 ahead of his teammate Nick Fly, so I think at this stage might be trying to hold up here. Might be trying to hold up the other drivers that are sat behind him in order to give his teammate enough breathing room to potentially take this race lead and race win home and host. Could this be Papaya tactics here in this case?
Well, the Great Wall of Papaya, I think it is about to be breached, though, because with the helping hand of DRS, Alex Gillen is going to carouse around the outside of Nick Flies. This should be a fairly regulation overtake, just about pulling ahead now. Will Nick Flies try to defend into the braking zone? No, doesn't send it up well. I think he does send it up the inside. Incredibly aggressive stuff, opportunistic. Alex Gillen going to hold it around the outside. Bit of a hearty-mouth moment. Probably wasn't expecting Nick Flies to launch it straight back up the inside, but he does finally take second place off the McLaren.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a battle of one lap pace now. Can Gillen close up to Formula Karim? But we know how fast Karim truly is, hence why he was on pole position. Look at this from Ricky 03 as well, around the outside of Matty D13. Always love watching overtakes around that portion of circuit, and Ricky will move up into fourth ahead of Matty D13, with Scott Taylor down in sixth ahead of his teammate Lolin Ober. Razin Chai also coming into that fight as well, as we now begin the next lap as well. Lap 10 of 56. Karim out in front by 2.1. Scott Taylor and Matty D13 together again. This time though, it looks like Taylor has got him. Tiamat Marduk also brushing up alongside Razin Chai. The man on the soft tyres are going to use them to try and gain those extra places, and Tiamat Marduk has done that. He's now up to 8th and on the back of Lolin Ober this time.
Yeah, this is going to be good for Ben, because this huge bottleneck of drivers from 3rd all the way down to, what is it going to be, 11th place with Meraki. Everybody very closely congested. Best opportunity to pick up a couple of places, especially when you've got the faster red stripe soft compound tyres. Well, Ben, think about a move up the inside into turn number 11. Does Lolin Ober, the former F2 champion, defend it? Darting over to the middle of the circuit is the Mercedes. And I think that should be overtake one and done. A little bit of space left on the outside. I think Razin Chai getting involved as well.
Yeah, it was some sort of a lottery going through the pit stop phase. Some cars might have been caught up. We did see a few double stacks. Once more, though, we'll see them tie up, heading down towards turn 12. Scott Taylor coming up close and personal to Nick Flies, and Taylor holds on to that 4th place. Further back, Sanderson losing out potentially to Lolin Ober. They're going wheel to wheel as it stands, and Razin Chai still chasing after the tail of Tiamat Marduk. There you can see up the inside comes Lolin Ober as we run on board with Sanderson's side pod as they now fly through this next left. Still trying to twist the wheel, finding the grip, Adam Sanderson, and has done so brilliantly. Has kept Lolin Ober behind, or has he? He's going to try it up again, up the inside again, coming through turn 18, through turn 19 again, and Lolin Ober, tenacity of the man, managing to move up into 9th place and keep Sanderson at bay.
Does very well indeed as we cut the beam with this group of cars to start lap number 11. Alex Gillen has managed to escape from the incredibly hard-fought battle from 4th, what is now 4th, down into the lower reaches of the top 10. Big overtake into turn number 1. I'm not sure who it was. I think it may have been the Mercedes of Tiamat Marduk. Yes, Matty D13 getting swamped by 3 drivers. Through goes Ben, through goes Razin, Lolin Ober following as well.
I tell you what a frenzy this has been since we've come back after the safety car. It's been pretty much every driver for themselves here coming into this very early stage. We're coming very shortly, while we've still got quite a lengthy portion before we even reach the midway phase. Karim, though, showing some really good early speed, but that time gap that was 2.2 has now been reduced to 1.8 somewhat, though he is trying to dart it outwards a little bit. Gillen, though, finding some success in bringing that delta back down, but it might be Karim as well, just considering perhaps a little bit of saving, trying to nurture these tyres a little further into this race. Remember, no hard tyres in this race here at Austin, Texas, as Nick Flies and Scott Taylor also come nose to tail. We got Tiamat Marduk Marduk going at it as well with Scott Taylor as well. We've got Meraki blasting past Adam Sanderson coming out of turn 12 in towards turn 13. Scott Taylor and Benjamin Daly meet again, coming through towards the next left. The Mercedes with the upper hand and holds the upper hand as well, but the switchback from Scott Taylor, it might have been successful, not this time, but he was close. But Tiamat Marduk now in the top 5 and 4/10 away from Nick Flies in 4th spot.
It's been hard fought for the reigning champion, had to work incredibly hard to get these places and get these overtakes, but finally got himself right to the front of this train, and you would imagine it's going to be a matter of time until he gets past that second McLaren of Nick Flies. Will it be down to turn number 1? Pulled a lovely move on the previous lap. The Alpine of Razin Chai trying to get past the Haas of Scott Taylor as well. Up the inside goes the Mercedes. Razin Chai thinking, I could have a bit of this action as well, because Nick Flies was slightly wide of the apex, but the McLaren for the time being at least is still in 5th.
Yeah, Lolin Ober also ahead of Scott Taylor. Rasin Chai in 6th, but Lolin Ober has not left the rear of Rasin Chai's Alpine just yet. We're on lap 12 of 56, still very early days in this race. Plenty more to come. Hayden Gullis jostling with Mr. Dale towards the rear of this race as well, as we now watch them head downhill in towards turn 11 once again. It's now the case that we have a 2.9 second gap, now 3 seconds between Tiamat Marduk and Ricky 03. We could see some major changes as well from Ps5 downwards as well, maybe even Ps4 downwards, because Tiamat Marduk's a sitting duck, and Rasin Chai with the overspeed and the slipstream, the DRS is going to pounce on 2 of them, jostles with Flies and Tiamat Marduk, and through goes Lolin Ober as well. It's a mid-fight there for Lolin Ober. He squeezed between 2 cars. Tiamat Marduk trying to fight back. Meraki in this as well in the Red Bull, as we now watch them go side by side. Later on the brakes from Lolin Ober, who takes down Nick Flies, but Flies will have the inside line. He's got a 3-second time penalty though. That will hurt him towards the end of the race. Lolin Ober defending that 5th spot, and Flies will have to try again.
And Tiamat Marduk will be absolutely cursing the existence of Razin Chai. He was almost cursing the existence of the exit curb through turn number 90, as he almost ended up smashing it into the barrier on the left-hand side. And Meraki is thinking, look at this, the reigning champion, you're a little bit vulnerable down to turn number 1. The Red Bull with the DRS open along with the Mercedes, who's going to be last of the late breakers, season 4 champion versus the season 7 and season 8 champion of Tiamat Marduk. Who's going to come out on top? I think it is the Red Bull, and Tiamat Marduk once again leaking places.
Yeah, losing a few crucial places is not the time to do it, especially when you're starting to put some laps on an already utilised soft set of tyres. He's got 8 laps amassed on them as it stands, and he wanted to use these essentially to try and drift himself higher up the order, but the crucial fact is, at this stage, he was over 3 seconds behind behind Ricky 03 at the time. Of course, now it's Rasin Chai in that position, but the one benefit he has is that he's on the same strategy as all those cars around him. They're all on that medium tyre. The only driver who might struggle is Nick Flies, because he has got 4 laps additional on his compound of tyres. Zafso now all over the back of Tiamat Marduk. They're fighting now coming out of turn 12, and the season 1 champion is going to try and take down the reigning champion and moves into 8th place. Great move for Zafso.
I reckon those soft tyres are absolutely done. We said in qualifying they weren't a particularly good race tyre. Tiamat Marduk putting them on. I think he's only been on them for about 8 laps, and they look absolutely destroyed as the RB Easy As You Like comes through, and Adam Sanderson wanting to put one over on his teammate as well, potentially.
Yeah, truly bizarre scenes already at the very early stages of this Austin race, as we now watch them come through the final corner. Adam Sanderson, another penalty. He gets a 3-second. That's to add to what already he has. He had 10 seconds before for ignoring the delta, and now this time he's got 13 in total this time around as well. He's got his teammate in front of him, Tiamat Marduk. Fortunately enough for him, no penalties. Zafso in front of him does have it, so does Nick Flies. He has 3 seconds, and he's 1.2 behind Meraki, so there is a break in the DRS between P7 and P6. That means that currently Rasin Chai, Lolin Ober and Meraki are going to be in no man's land. There's going to be a trio fighting out, certainly with the power of that DRS. Now coming down to the very crucial point on the circuit, where obviously slipstreaming and DRS is paramount. This straight coming out of turn 11 is going to be key, and Nick Flies is going to have no defense against Zafso in behind. Adam Sanderson again, he's going to have Infratic all over his tail very shortly. And crucially, I want to draw your attention to the front because Alex Gillen has broken to within DRS of Formula Karim as we now watch Nick Flies and Zafso wheel to wheel. Zafso now up to 7th, Nick Flies down to 8th place as we now watch them come through out of Sector 2 through towards Sector 3. Gillen now in striking distance of Karim up at the very top and will have a great chance of perhaps taking that race lead away.
Yeah, he's been quietly going about his business, hasn't he, the Season 2 champion, as all of the carnage has unfolded behind this pair out in front. Alex Gillen working away. What was a 2-second gap to Formula Cream, now just over a second. He does have DRS. It was 1.1 coming out of the final corner, but was obviously under a second at the DRS detection point, and now he is right underneath the rear wing of that Papaya McLaren car. And you can almost see the sweat patches forming underneath the armpits of Formula Cream, because he's got Alex Gillen to deal with now.
Yep, and that's going to be a very, very tricky business. I'm sure we'll see plenty of fighting as we now watch them come and tussle throughout. Rasin Chai currently down in 5th and trying to close up on the back of Lolin Ober. Of course, Lolin Ober in the Haas, Rasin Chai back in the Alpine. Of course, he'll be teammates with Tom through the course of this campaign, and he's currently 2/10 away from Lolin Ober in that Haas at this stage. But up at the very top, we're still watching this battle unfold. And Alex Gillen within DRS this time, coming out of turn 11 down through towards turn 12. He's going to have the power of the slipstream and the DRS. Will he potentially make the move this time? Of course, he can utilize this. Basically, try and drag off each other to try and grow the gap between Ricky 03 and Formula Karim now. Gillen takes the lead for the first time here in this Creator Series race so far. Karim, who has held it for quite some time, Gillen swipes it off him here on lap 15. We've still got a long way to go, however. Who's going to come out on top between those two?
But if there aren't any safety cars, this is dangerous for the rest of the pack. Like you said, these two are going to work together. They're going to be DRS swapping, and I would not be surprised if that 3.3 second gap back to 3rd place Ricky 03 will just continue to grow. Tiamat Marduk still bogged down in the midfield. He's lost another couple of places, one to his teammate Adam Sanderson, who does albeit have 13 seconds worth of penalties, and Infratic in the Scarlet Red Ferrari car. Ben, surely he's going to have to bail on these soft compact tyres. They look absolutely dreadful, and the reigning champion is in all sorts of bother.
Yeah, and he's going to be a victim here to Dark Viper GT if he's not careful, because Dark Viper's within 2/10 and getting closer. Adam Sanderson up the inside of Nick Flies straight away as they come out of turn 1 and down the hill. Back comes Flies around the outside, but not enough leverage to get back up alongside the Mercedes as they come through the S-bends through turns 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Before reaching turn 7, which will take them up the hill towards turns 8 and 9. But Gillen at the head of the order. Still got Karim for company. Ricky 03 not doing quite enough to break into that 3-second gap. I can tell you the last lap times were Ricky 03 doing a 1:37.074. Gillen going faster than anybody in the top 3 with a 1:36 of his own. But back comes Karim and retakes the race lead that he lost in the lap prior to Gillen. He now takes it back again. But like we said, DRS swapping to protect this lead advantage. And already that 3-second gap that Ricky had on the front 2 before, it's now gone out by 0.7 of a second. And this is what we're talking about, Tom.
Yeah, this is just going to keep growing for the majority of this race. Unless we see a safety car, of course, which we got it on lap number 4. Would not be surprised if we see it at some point later in this race. We've got a big group of cars detached at the back of the pack. F1 Alex battling with his good mate, Mr. Dale, down into turn number 12. They kick Sauber later on the brakes and gets up into a lowly 16th position. And there is the confirmation. These softs are absolutely shocking.
Yeah, confirming the point that we raised, of course, that Tiamat Marduk dropping down through the order is because the softs are not lasting the tenure that Ben was obviously expecting, and therefore now it's going to be a huge effort on his part to grab something big out of this race. Of course, remember, he is our reigning champion of the Creator Series, won his first championship back in that controversial race at Paul Ricard in Season 6, but it was a fabulous race, wasn't it, folks? One of the greatest races we have seen in Creator Series history. Then on Season 8, he made himself a 2-time champion, with this time with McLaren. Of course, prior to that, it was with Ferrari. This time around, though, he's with Mercedes and trying to get back to within the top 10, but everyone else is on medium tyres. Tiamat Marduk, the only driver, bar the likes of Matati, who is right towards the rear of the field, who is now on soft tyres himself. Of course, he's accrued 9 laps on his soft tyres. A little more, though, for Tiamat Marduk. He's actually levied another 3 laps on top of what Matati has done. Another 3-second time penalty for F1 Alex, and Mr. Dale also getting one as well. So already the penalties once more coming straight out. Adam Sanderson, incidentally, 3 seconds of his come down to stop-go penalties, so he can serve them in the pits, as can Zasso. He can serve, in fact, it's saying 0-second stop-go, as we now watch a big battle starting to brew. Hayden Gullis heading down through towards turn 12, trying to jostle ahead of F1 Alex TTB. Now he removes him down into 18th place. Gullis now into 17th spot and chasing after Mr. Dale again.
Yeah, what a trifecta this is, battling over 16th, 17th and 18th position. Tim McMurdoch has lost another place down into 12th in between the two green machines of the Aston Martin cars. Maraki's on the move though, was 6th a few moments ago, now finds himself in 4th and leading this little peloton, trying to catch up to the back of Ricky 03, who holds that final spot on the podium. The leading duo continuing to extend that gap. Is up to 4.5 seconds, and this is very, very dangerous for everybody else. Everybody that thinks they've still got a chance of winning this race, Gillen and Kareem, think otherwise. Yeah,
well, they're going to try and cover off any opportunity that Ricky 03 may have, or Meraki, or even Rasit Chai to a certain degree. Out of the pits comes Matty D13, because as we said, subbing in for Tom for this particular race. Grid Jokes gets a 3-second time penalty as well, and they're all starting to light up this time. Zafso, remember, harnessing penalties of his own, as is Adam Sanderson. Infratic, Nick Flies, Grid Jokes, as we said, Mr. Dale, Hayden Gullis, Alex, Matty D13 himself, as we just said as well. Dark Viper now moves up into 10th, and we've got Meraki now in 5th. Adam Sanderson moving into 7th. Ahead of Zafso. Infratic also moving ahead of Zafso, but they're going to run side by side apparently and battle over P8. And this time it's Fabio who takes that P8 away from Zafso this time, and is actually going to try and trace Adam Sanderson's steps, try and move past the Mercedes that has had its challenges already through the course of this race. Hasn't been a great start to the season for Mercedes here at this point, especially with Tim McMurdoch's current strategic issues, and with Adam Sanderson's penalties, it could be a very poor day for them.
Yeah, it could be scoring a big fat 0 by the time we get to lap number 56 at this rate. Safso, just want to point out, picked up a 3-second penalty as he ran off the circuit into turn number 12. So I wonder if there was maybe a little bit of contact, a little bit of argy-bargy between himself and the Ferrari of Infratic, who pushed the RB down into 9th place. No movement down into turn number 1. We retain the status quo. This is a lovely little battle that's continuing on as well. Razin Chai, now the leader of this trio. Lolinoba looking very comfortable in sit position at the moment, looking to bag a decent haul of points, the former F2 champion, with two very established names in front of him.
Yeah, and Ricky 03, who currently sits in 3rd, he's in no man's land as it stands. Rasin Chai 2.3 off him. You can just see Ricky in the distance now taking turn 11. At this stage, he'll have no DRS either from the car in front, because that's Alex Gillen, and he's 4.5 seconds clear as we now watch Gillen exchange for the lead once more with Formula Karim. But we now take a look at the battle between Lolinoba, Meraki and Rasin Chai going at it as well. Meraki this time feels suited to take in that 4th place away from Rasin Chai this time. Infratic also looking to breeze on by Adam Sanderson, who also loses out to Zafso in the process, and Zafso up the inside of Infratic. That was a very zealous move indeed, and Infratic now looking to try and tag back, does so brilliantly and retakes that P7 away from Zafso, as now Adam Sanderson chucks it up the inside, coming through the latter sector, coming out the latter of sector 2 in towards sector 3, but Zafso holds firm.
Yeah, lovely little punchy move from Safso there. It didn't work out, but has a bit of a reputation of being a little bit passive in combat and wheel-to-wheel racing. We've got a yellow flag, I think, down into turn number 12 as somebody taking a trip off the road. I think it may have been Mr. Dale going for a bit of a spin, a bit of a pirouette down in 18th at the moment. Tim McMurdoch has lost another couple of places, down in 14th, and it's now the last driver in that big group of cars from 7th down into 14th place, where Tim McMurdoch currently resides. This is not a very good race for the reigning champion. Not a good debut at the Silver Arrow Squadron.
Yeah, obviously a 13-race calendar to bring you, or should I say 13-round calendar to bring you this season is going to be full of not only the general format of the short qualifying and the full 100% race. We do, of course, have double headers as well, where we witness 2 races, one with a reverse grid as well. Obviously a qualifying session for the first race and reverse grid for the second race. And then not forgetting we have the sprint race rounds as well, and that will feature twice this campaign, but we will of course take you through those as time draws on. There's Ricky 03, of course one of the newer faces to the Creator Series lineup, has of course performed in the past as a reserve, but this time features here tonight once more, but with the Williams team. as we now watch him head through the latter sector. He's currently in third place, as I said, in no man's land. Meraki once again coming up and close and personal with Rasin Chai. Lolinoba waiting in the wings for a piece of the pie himself, but no changes as far as Lolinoba is concerned. He's now down in 6, will remain in 6 in a pursuit for P5. Further back then, we've got the gap then to Zafso, who is part of a string of cars that have time penalties. The only one not with a penalty in that string is Dark Viper GT, who is currently sat 5/10. In fact, this could work out very well for Dark Viper, because just by the sheer manner of him being just behind these cars, he'll make positions very easily as long as he stays within that delta of the cars in front.
100%. We spoke about him needing to improve his consistency, and so far in the first 21 laps, he is doing just that. Tim Marduk finally is going to lay those soft tyres to rest, get them off that car. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the medium tyres. Of course, they're the yellow stripe medium tyres, and that is going to be a little bit of relief, I think, for Tim Marduk. A horrible, horrible stint since the safety car came in. Now he's got to head down, get his head down, and try and recover. I just want to shout out Ricky03 that we spoke about him a little bit earlier on. He is still only 2.2 seconds ahead of that group that are battling for 4th, 5th and 6th. His pace, very, very consistent and very, very quick as well. Got to give him his props.
Yeah, last lap, 1:37.142. That was in fact faster than Formula Karim by just over 0.3 of a second. So he definitely, or should I say it wasn't, I should say Karim did a 1:36, but he was faster though than Alex Gillen by around 3 to 2.5 to 0.3. So decent pace, definitely on show from Ricky03 here. And bear in mind, he hasn't got DRS, very much like Alex Gillen, so he is very much on trend with the cars that are in front of him. Nick Flies up the inside of Scott Taylor as well. Yeah, still got many boxes to tick through the course of this race. Whilst that stint wasn't great for Tiamat Marduk here in this case, Tom, the other drivers are going to have to take on the softs as well, you'd fathom, as we go deeper into this race.
Yeah, that's the only little bit that Tiamat Marduk can try to cling on to in this race. He can only use mediums from now on. Got 2 brand new sets of those beautiful yellow stripe tyres. Potentially, other people could go medium. A couple of drivers that started on the medium that are yet to pit, I do believe. The likes of Nick Flies and Scott Taylor. The other drivers, though, a lot of drivers started on the soft compound tyres. So they have also got them out of the way. It was just Tiamat Marduk that used 2 sets of softs in the early stages.
Yeah, obviously keen now to see his race out with medium tyres for the rest. Into the pits comes Nick Flies, and he's jumping on the soft, so this will be interesting now as he now makes his way out of the pit. Scott Taylor also moving on to the soft tyres. They'll make their way back out onto the circuit. Now, where does Tiamat Marduk feature in all of this? Let's see where the time goes. Tiamat Marduk does breeze past Nick Flies. There he is in picture. He moves through turn 1. So this is an opportunity now for Tiamat Marduk. He needs to really utilise these now. These first initial laps are going to be crucial. Needs to try and gain time on those that have very well used medium tyres to give himself at least something, at least some performance levy as they move on to the softs, because they will die off very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. He is going to get a lovely undercut, though, the Mercedes driver, and that could get him that track position back that he was losing in the final laps of his stint. Remember, he was P14 when he came into the box, now running in P13 as Nick Flies and Scott Taylor came up behind him. They are going to be on those soft tyres, though, so could be under a little bit of pressure in the early stages of that stint. This battle continues to rage on out in front. Very, very efficient job of trading places and swapping the DRS. 5.5 seconds between Alex Gillen in second and Ricky03 in third. The gap from third to fourth has come down a little bit for the first time in a while. It has dipped below 2 seconds, now just jumping back above it. But Rasin Chai, Meraki and Lolinoba could maybe learn a thing or two from Formula Karim and Alex Gillen about how to trade places and how to use the DRS sharing.
Yeah, I do want to say and highlight Formula Karim. Despite him being on 18-lap medium tyres, in his last lap, he went purple briefly in the second sector, and he's only just had it taken off him by the man currently sat in 15th place, that being Scott Taylor, who's on fresh soft tyres. So Formula Karim still lapping on old medium tyres in that middle sector faster than what we saw Scott Taylor doing on fresh softs. Tiamat Marduk now set in the fastest lap of the race, so the pace very much with the Mercedes driver. The Aussie starting to dip into his pocket and bring out some magic dust here in this very key point in this race. We haven't quite reached the halfway point as Gillen now swaps for the lead up at the front. He moves past Formula Karim. They will continue to swap, and they are applying more time on Ricky03, who of course doesn't have the benefit of DRS. He's now 6.4 away from Karim in third as Meraki now moves into fourth place ahead of Rasin Chai. Lolinoba down in 6. Infratic then 6.9 back from the Haas that sits in 6.
Yeah, and Ricky is starting to struggle. Those lap times have just fallen off in the last couple of laps as the trio behind start to close in. So maybe those medium tyres, they should be past their best, but maybe he's got a little bit more tyre wear than that group behind. That could be crucial coming into the latter stages of this Grand Prix. If we think it's just going to be a regulation one more stop to lap number 56. How will that group play it? They've spent the last 15 laps or so trying to claw up to the back of that Williams car. They're finally going to get there. How do they play that game?
Yeah, it is very, very intriguing indeed. TMM Marder going fastest again, though. He's got 37.5 in that middle sector. He's having no issues on these medium tyres. He's loving life right now. Probably relieved to get rid of those initial 2 sets of soft tyres. And now he can bring his best work to the table. 13.9 he has got to find on Viper further up, but if he keeps on ushering in lap times, it will make it that much easier. A 1:34.765 has got Matty D13 though just in behind him, and Matty also on relatively fresh medium tyres. He's only applied 6 laps on them, but Nick Flies, he's got problems. He's got Scott Taylor all over his tail as we fly out of turn 1, heading through the S-bends. At the moment, it's still Gillen, though, out in front with Karim. They continue to DRS swap with Ricky 03 dipping back. He did briefly to within 6/10, but he's now dipped outwards again. Formula Karim retaking that lead place. Hayden Gullis and Mr. Dale still going at it here at this point. Looks like Dale might have had some problems because he's 3.5 away from Hayden Gullis. In fact, it looks like he's come into the pits for a tyre change of his own. So there we have it. Already the strategy's unfolding now right through the course of this race. We're on lap 24 of 56. Still a few laps before we reach the halfway point. Gillen and Karim, as we can see on our screens, making their way around the circuit once more. They're not coming back in just yet. 19 laps accrued will soon become 20 on these medium tyres. Just goes to show what a great race tyre this medium compound truly is.
Yeah, and just to highlight how much the softs are struggling, Scott Taylor, nearly 3 seconds behind Thierry McMurdoch in the Haas, came out of the pits pretty much directly behind the Mercedes car. So that says one thing about the pace of Thierry McMurdoch on those mediums, but also how dreadful those soft compound tyres are, and really explains why Thierry McMurdoch struggled so much when he was the only driver running them in that middle stint.
Yeah, if you're looking for an illustration, folks at home, as to why the drivers are absolutely detesting the soft compounded tyre on the F1 24 game at the moment, you've just witnessed why Tim McMurdoch obviously struggling with it on his stint, and now it seems that others are starting to feel the pinch, most namely Scott Taylor. Nick Fly is also utilising them as well as we ride on board with Rasin Chai heading downhill, chasing after Meraki. Once more, these two have been battling colossally now for quite some time. One thing that is of interest though, Meraki starting to dip to within that gap that Ricky had ahead of them, so Ricky starting to detach further from the front two. Gillen retaking the lead, but I think Ricky's going to have problems because with the DRS swapping that Meraki and Rasin Chai are doing, they're bringing themselves in that P3 equation here, Tom.
Yeah, and just there you can see it dipping under 1 second, 9/10 of a second. Raz has got to try and cling on to the coattails of the Williams through this final sector so that he gets the helping hand of DRS down the main straight into turn number 1 and gets himself firmly into what will become a quartet battling for the final spot on the podium. Just want to talk about Formula Cream out in front. You may think it's all sunshine and roses, but remember back to China last year, I think him and Meraki were battling for the lead. They were 17 seconds clear of everybody else. Late race safety car, and then it all went wrong for Cream. So he'll be very, very aware that he's in a very good position, but this is nowhere near the end of the race.
Yeah, McMurdoch can tell you a thing or two about late safety cars. I can tell you about that. If you take a look back again, I'll mention it, season 6. What a barnstormer that was, that finale. Truly remarkable. You can go and watch those races back. By the way, folks, all the historical live streams are all available there for you. But for now, tune into this one because this is going to be special. Lap 26 of 56, 30 to go. Up the inside goes Grid Jokes on Zafso and takes P8 away from him. And also coming into this, Adam Sanderson looking to try and levy himself ahead of the RB as they fly through the first sector again. Coming through the S's, not quite a position there for Adam Sanderson to relieve Safso of that P9 spot. Dark Viper is now 5.1 off those further back. Tim McMurdoch starting to bring himself into this fight as well. He's only 6.5 seconds away from Dark Viper. And if you want to look at the lap times and how they differentiate, last lap for Dark Viper, a 1:39.499. And Tim McMurdoch in another stratosphere altogether, a 1:35.808, as Adam Sanderson takes a very zealous look, this time at Zafso coming out of turn 11, but he will have the slipstream and the DRS to open up the door. Sanderson on the run, coming down towards turn 12. He's going to try and light things up, breeze past Zafso, past the Season 1 champion, and into P9.
Have to say, master of his own downfall a little bit there, Saf, so did not trouble the apex one jot going through turn number 11, rolling out the red carpet for Devon Butler, Adam Sanderson, two drivers that picked up those 10-second penalties under the safety car, now battling over 9th and 10th and trading places in Fratic, doing a good job, didn't qualify particularly well, but does find himself now up in 7th place, but is 9.5 seconds off the back of Lolinoba, and Ricky 03 has firmly been reeled in, Razin Chai just 0.3 of a second off the back of him, and down to turn number 1, potentially think about a move, no, not quite close enough, the Alpine.
No, Ricky 03, 7 seconds now behind Alex Gillen. He's forfeited plenty up at the sharp end. He's got Razin Chai though for company, who is now only 0.2 away from that second, or should I say that third spot. Dart Viper has left the session having some technical issues, I believe, of his own. As we now watch them come through the first sector and in towards sector 2 very shortly. They'll pass through it, and very shortly as well take turn 11 before then reaching the DRS straight, which is where Razin Chai is going to be licking his lips at the opportunity of relieving Ricky from his podium P3 place. As the Williams now detours out of the apex, coming down the long straight. Dart Viper's back with us, so seemingly now recovering after the little technical glitch as we now watch Razin Chai storm down the straight now, through towards turn 12. P3 now for Razin Chai, the former champion from season 5, back at it in the podium place. And now looking to try and kick on. Of course, has already registered 16 podiums historically in the Creator Series. Could he be set to make it 17 here tonight?
Well, the pace looks strong. Still a long way to go, as we've mentioned a number of times. Tiamat Marduk has caught up to the back of the Aston Martin of Dart Vibe, who has just recently rejoined the session. Would have lost maybe 4 or 5 seconds with that disconnect because the AI are so very slow when you jump out of the session. Tiamat Marduk, I think, will be chomping at the bit to try and get this place. Is he going to try and swoop around the outside? Look at the grip, the confidence, and the traction the Mercedes has got, getting past his Mercedes engine counterpart, and the Green Machine is bumped down a position.
Yeah, Ricky also coming into the pits as well, so seemingly believing that it's the right time to ditch the compounded tyre that he was on. That's 23 lap old mediums. He's going to be putting on a fresh set of medium tyres and heading straight out. Now, this will be the true litmus test. Where is Tiamat Marduk going to come out in this exchange? Because out comes Ricky. Where's Benjamin Daly? He's going to storm up towards turn 1. They're not going to quite meet together, but what that says to me here, in this case, Tom, is that Tiamat Marduk is in, I would say, around a P4, P5 net position.
Yeah, he's going to be right in that battle with Razin Chai, Meraki and Lolinoba. So the undercut has worked out very, very nicely. He's recovered the track position that he lost so dearly in that stint on the soft compound tyre. So Tiamat Marduk, the reigning champion, at the moment is doing a good recovery job, but he will not be satisfied thus far.
No, he won't be. He'll want to try and find a little extra. He needs to try and start lapping faster than those that are further up, more precisely Meraki and Razin Chai. But I can tell you, over the last lap, Meraki was lapping a 1:37.5. It was a 1:37.4 for Razin Chai. It was a 1:35.9 though for Tiamat Marduk. So he's around 2 seconds faster a lap than those that are currently sat in 3rd and 4th. And bear in mind, Meraki and Razin Chai have been DRS swapping. So the advantage is definitely in Benjamin Daly's way. So this is where Gillen and Meraki have got, or should I say Meraki and Razin Chai have got to think about pitting soon here, Tom.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really interesting as well to see whether Tiamat Marduk can try and keep that gap to Ricky 03 similar. It's currently at 1.8 seconds. If he can maybe try and keep it under 3 seconds, ideally, you would say, over the next 5 or 10 laps, then Tiamat Marduk is right in this race. He
is, very much so. I would say, given the delta he's showing here, the pace is very much in his court. He has got the fastest lap of the race so far as well, with a 1:34.765. Has already utilised 2 soft tyres. He was one of the drivers that opted for that early soft stint, and when he came in, he was the only driver really that opted for the soft tyre for the second stint during the safety car. Now he's ditched them off. He can focus on utilising the medium tyres, and this might be the genius manoeuvre that the Aussie was thinking about. Obviously, we get pre-plans, we get preconceptions with how a race is supposed to go. In the Creator Series, things can change very quickly as Dark Viper again is having technical issues. Of course, already Tiamat Marduk managing to get past him. It looks like Dark Viper is dropping seemingly seamlessly down the table. He's 15th at the moment. He's got F1 Alex now looking to try and close him down. 22 seconds to find though for Alex as we ride on board here with Adam Sanderson. Grid jokes also opening up here on Fabio. I think Fratic losing out, and he might lose out again, this time to Adam Sanderson, who might take the pair on. as they head down in towards turn 12. The Ferrari, they'll go in later on the brakes, and Sanderson is going to have to fight tooth and nail here against the Portuguese as they now head through round the outside, but Fabio holding on in fabulous style. And back though, Safso is going to look to try and take a chunk here out of Sanderson. Of course, here comes the Season 1 champion in the RB. He moves into 8th place. Brilliant from Safso, tenacious, nobody saw it coming, and certainly Adam Sanderson didn't. Safso now into 8th place.
Excellent, excellent, proficient work from the Season 1 champion. None of these drivers coming into the pits. We may have been questioning why Razicai, why Meraki, and why Lolinova had elected to stay out. This gaggle of cars is why. Ricky 03 has just caught up to the back of them. He is obviously going to lose time trying to work his way through these slower cars that are yet to pit.
Yeah, Tim Marduk is going to be hoping that he does slow down just a little bit. He'll be hoping that perhaps he can trust in Ricky for some DRS, if possible, just so he can get a helping hand and once more reduce that delta between he and Rasin Chai and Meraki further up. Of course, Alex Gillen and Formula Karim might be a different story because they themselves are 8 seconds ahead of Rasin Chai as things stand, so almost eliminating the battle for the lead right now. And Karim and Gillen are still persisting with the DRS swap. Already now we're seeing Karim retake that lead advantage coming down in towards turn 12. Meraki and Rasin Chai also going at it. We're watching Ricky 03 now moving up alongside Adam Sanderson very early on at the start of the long straight, coming out of 11 down towards 12. And Sanderson having to forfeit. Also Grid Jokes and Infratic coming together, and Fabio moving up into 6.
Oh, lazy little lunge up the inside there from Ricky 03. I don't think Safso saw it coming, just dangled the front of that Williams up the inside into turn number 11. Could have been absolutely catastrophic for both drivers involved. Ricky's just got to be careful here because he knows he's in a very good position, cannot lose his head trying to make it through these slower cars. Tim Marduk is starting to close up. He leaked about half a second on the previous couple of laps to Ricky 03 in that Williams, courtesy of the older tyres, but Ricky got to be careful. This is where experience is key. This is where Tim Marduk could make up even more time as Safso dives into the pits.
Yeah, Safso coming in. Ricky pulled off a fabulous overtake as well. And look at the exit as well that he managed to get coming out of the final corner. He's going to try and go for 2 for the price of 1 and does breeze past Grid Jokes and Infratic as well. Moves up into that 6th spot on that fresher compound of medium tyres. Only 3 laps accrued on it, 26 laps accrued on the cars behind him. Tim Marduk's going to look to do the same. He's now coming in to within a second of Adam Sanderson, his teammate, and I can't imagine Sanderson is going to fight him too hard.
Not at all. He's got to get out of the way, especially because he's got so many penalties looming over his head. Tim Marduk, one of only a few drivers, I think that is 8 drivers yet to pick up a penalty in this race on lap number 31. The lead changing hands once more. The gap to Meraki nearly out at 9 seconds at the moment. That group are going to be doing the safety car dance, I think we like to call it here at the Creator Series.
Yeah, well, Tim Marduk now is in a great position to catch up with Ricky because he'll get DRS on Sanderson and he should, by consequence, close up to the back of Infratic. And also Grid Jokes. The only concern is Grid Jokes and how far he tails off from Ricky 03. So this is a moment of urgency here for Tim Marduk as he now moves through towards turn 12. Now, once again, planting his foot on the throttle, just now sort of feathering it slightly, coming through this next right-hander as he looks to close up to the back of Infratic. Lap 31 of 56. Still, we persist around this circuit. Mr. Dale retiring, and that's a safety car. Well, there we have it. T-Dubs, you mentioned that it was a possibility that we could see the return of the safety car, and it's neutralised the advantage that Alex Gillen and Formula Karim have had. Surely they've got to think of pitting over the next lap, and they will be disappointed that they couldn't have boxed on the lap prior. This is going to set them back quite a bit.
I wonder who was able to get in. Rasin Chai has stayed out, so has Meraki and Lolinova, so I don't think any of those guys were able to make it into the pits either. So that has come out absolutely terribly for the leading contenders, and that brings this race right back into the favour of somebody like Tim Marduk, who did stay out, but he's going to be in the DRS train. If he can try and cling onto the coattails of that group in front, do not discount the reigning champion one bit. Mr. Dale, though, dropping out once again. I think that is 37 DNFs.
Well, I tell you one thing, it might be the time to go over across to Joshua Richards. Joshua, what's new?
Hello. There we go. So here we go. Dale's safety car here. This was actually helping his teammate out We're still getting a couple of FPS issues, but we'll worry about that later. He was talking to the other guys. His teammate found out he was in 4th and decided it was better to help his teammate than to keep on running down in P18 or 19. I think he was in. But so yeah, mainly to help Meraki out there. We'll see how Meraki can continue on in this race.
There's one man who can dish out creative safety cars. It's Mr. Dale J.E. And obviously now, trying to help his teammate. Not necessarily something that we smile upon, I would say, though, T-Dubs. I will say, Tom, it's been a controversial subject in the past, but nevertheless, Mr. Dale, a fabulous provider of content for the F1 Creator Series. Into the pits come various drivers. Alex Gillen in, so is Formula Krim, as you'd expect. Rasin Chai, Lolinoba, Meraki as well. It means now Riccio 3 has every chance of taking the race lead, though remember he does have to slow down to Delta pace. Gillen does not forfeit the race lead, neither does Formula Krim in terms of the front 2 places. Rasin Chai coming out of the box as well. He holds on to 3rd, so Riccio 3 moves up to 4th. He moves ahead of Meraki. Tim Emada going side by side with Meraki. They can't decide who's going to take P5. Meraki takes, oh no, does he? Tim Emada takes P5 away from Meraki under the safety car. What an intriguing complexion we have here now. The only issue is for Tim Marduk, he's got 12 laps accrued on his mediums. They're going to die off very soon, whilst all those up in the front have fresh medium tyres. And Riccio 3, I'd argue, is in the best position of anybody.
Yeah, you'd almost argue it would have been better for Tim Marduk if he opted to stay behind Meraki, because he doesn't have to lose time getting overtaken by that Red Bull, which with the tyre offset that Meraki's got, I think is pretty likely. Interestingly enough, Lolinoba actually changed his front wing during that pit stop, and that probably tells you that he's got a lot of pace left in his back pocket, because he was able to really cling on to the coattails of Rasin Chai, of Riccio 3 and of Meraki in that second stint.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in a great position as well, because obviously he has fresh tyres now. He's on the mediums, fresh medium compound, and under the safety car, all that delta that was lost and forfeited, it just dissipates. And now he's going to be in a position where he can start attacking for those big places. Let us know in the live chat, by the way, folks. Great to have you here at the F1 Creator Series. Don't forget to leave a follow if you haven't done so already. Big thank you as well to our proud partners. Of course, we're introducing IMB as well to the Creator Series as well, providers of great sim racing wear as well. And also, big thank you as well to EA Sports F1 for being our proud partners alike. And you're witnessing a great race already here this evening. Round 1 of the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. Can't wait to see how this season unfolds. Already we're witnessing drama left, right and centre. Gillen, your race leader. Formula Karim in second. We've got Rasin Chai right in the mixer as well. All of the top 3 on fresh medium tyres, with Riccio 3 down in 4th, who's got relatively fresh tyres, 5 laps only. And then Tiamat Marduk just behind Meraki as well. He's got 13 laps now accrued on his compound, with Meraki just crossing the line for his first lap on the medium tyre. Lolinoba, though, he's going to be rapid. Tiamat Marduk is going to find it, I'm sure, Tom, very difficult to keep Lolinoba in behind.
Yeah, and he'll be praying the Mati D13, who is in 8th place at the moment with 16 lap old medium tyres, can almost just try and hold up that big group of cars behind that are all on the brand new sets of mediums. This is going to be difficult for Tim Marduk. I'm actually surprised that he didn't come into the pits, although maybe he thought he couldn't stretch a set of those medium tyres to the end of the race, potentially thinking that there might be another safety car in 10 or 15 laps time or so, where he wants that brand new set of medium tyres that he can strap on.
Yeah, I think Ben is going to have another safety car, I think, later on, if anything. We'll wait and see how that unfolds. In the meantime, we do have some more insight from the one, the only Joshua Richards.
Yep, so just quickly looking, we saw a couple of time penalties on that last safety car restart. So we're watching from Dark Viper's POV here. We've got Adam Sanderson, one of the cars who did pick up a time penalty in front. The pack going very, very slowly, heading through into the final sector, and everybody pretty much comes to a stop here on the apex. Safso goes around the outside, Adam on the inside there as well. Everybody just really bunched back up, and then you can see there just at the end, they both picked up 10-second time penalties for that. Hopefully we aren't going to see anything similar on this restart though.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richards, always providing us with the insight into some of the key moments we see in the Creator Series. Be lost without it. Big thank you to him as we now get set, ready to go racing again. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see whether the safety car does stay out for yet one more additional lap. Obviously, there are a couple of cars towards the rear that aren't in a position to be right up behind the pack just yet. Of course, Hayden Gull is still with 11.2 seconds to find in order to close up with the string of cars. Rasin Chai about a second behind, though. I wonder if that's a tactic to try and keep the safety car out, and maybe he's not content with the idea of it getting back underway just yet. Needless to say, the safety car will be out for one more lap regardless at the very least. Alex Gillen at the head of the order, Formula Karim in second, Rasin Chai in third. So already we've managed to deduce that Timothée Marduk might need a little bit of help towards the latter part of his stint. Obviously now we're coming into a very fragile part of this race. I still think there's a great chance here for Riccio 3, but we're now in a situation where you've got essentially 4 drivers at the very head of the order in that top 5, Meraki, Gillen, Karim, Rasin Chai, all with great opportunities to win this race.
Yeah, Ricky won't be worried about Timothée Marduk at this stage. He's got 7 lap fresher tyres, but it's a 5-lap offset to the likes of Razin, Meraki and Lolinoba. He should have the pace from grid jokes over grid jokes downwards. It's just whether he can, we've said it multiple times, keep in that DRS train is absolutely critical on this game. If you drop out of the DRS train, you lose that DRS to the car in front. You are pretty much stuffed for the rest of the stint. Yeah,
you certainly are. Obviously, we talk about statistics as well in the Creator Series, and Alex Gillen with the most wins in the Creator Series, despite Timothée Marduk statistically being the highest point scorer overall throughout the entirety of the Creator Series itself since its inception back in season 1. Obviously going back a couple of years now. It's unbelievable to think it's been this long. But yes, we're celebrating our 9th season of the Creator Series. One more and we'll be celebrating 10. How incredible is that? Lap 35 of 56. We're well and truly in the second half phase now of this race. This is where crunch time occurs and drivers start thinking a little bit more about, maybe a little bit less about strategy and more about pace. There's F1 Alex in the Kick Sauber, of course, one-legged at Sauber this time because Deathlink retired very early into the race. Only 3 laps accrued on his tyres before he left us. And Alex, at this stage, 16th spot, just behind Dark Viper GT, has got quite the task on his hands as we get confirmation. Safety car in this lap. Where do you see it going, Tom?
Well, the driver that I'm actually going to be looking at is Rasin Chai. Has spent this whole race so far trying to catch up to the cars in front. Now has been given effectively a free hit with 21 laps to go. To be really punchy on this restart, try and upset the apple cart that's going on between Alex Gillen and Formula Karim and give himself a chance to start Season 9 how he started Season 8 by picking up a win.
Dare I say, I'm looking at the clouds and it's looking a little darker out there as well. I'm a little concerned we could yet see rain come down in the very late stage here at COTA. Let's wait and see. Lap 35 will soon become lap 36. Alex Gillen becoming the safety car, albeit for now, as Bert Mailander makes his way around the circuit very shortly, coming into the pit lane. Formula Karim will be looking to pounce from the get-go. Will Rasin Chai look to do the same? The front 3 all on the same tyres, wear and type of tyre as well. They're all on mediums and they've all got 2 laps. It'll soon be 3 laps accrued as we put pedal to the metal for the 3rd time in this race. Now we get back underway at COTA. Safsa with problems, he leaves the session. Here comes now Meraki, who's going to look to try and pounce early on. Gillen very nearly losing out at a very wide line taken from Formula Karim, and that sees him forfeit to Rasin Chai, who moves into 2nd. Further back, Meraki also trying to dare to dream as he looks to fly up into 3rd. He does! The race, well, certainly the Red Bull, looking to race higher and higher, and now with a great chance as it storms into the top 3. Alex Gillen leads the way though. Rasin Chai, his former rival, also coming into this as well, with Meraki coming into the fold. Karim forfeiting 2 key places and has got Riccio 3 on his tail as well. Lolinoba chasing all over the back of Timothée Marduk, and I think has the inside line coming out of turn 11. He does.
Wow, who would have thought it? Formula Karim bulletproof in the first half of this race, but maybe just tensing up on that restart, knowing what's at stake and knowing that that comfortable buffer he had just been wiped out. Alex Gillen, the experienced hand right front. If anyone knows how to win a race, it is Alex Gillen, and he continues to lead it here in COTA. Big battles going on in the midfielders, in Fratic and Grid Jokes, trading blows, trading places in 9th and 10th place. Adam Sanderson trying to get that Mercedes nose involved as well. Matt C13 on very old medium tyres, don't forget, under pressure as well. Timothée Marduk did forfeit 6th place to Lolinoba. He's just got to try and keep up with that sextuple. I'm going to go with that in front of him.
Yeah, well, Adam Sanderson holding on to that P10 for now. Grid Joke still peppering the back of the Mercedes, but unable to levy the place back. Now the fastest laps are being traded off. Rasin Chai with it with a 1:34. 3-8-4. The top three, all with one championship between them. Alex Gillen won his all the way back in Season 2. Meraki won his back in Season 4. Rasin Jai in Season 5 as now Adam Sanderson dodges and weaves past Matty D 1-3 in that battle for 9th place as they now fly through the initial sector now. Meraki 2/10 away of the realm behind Rasin Jai as it stands, with Formula Karim now 4/10 behind the front three. They all share, though, the same tyre life. Further back, Ricky 03 has not departed them just yet, but Lolin Ober starting to sprint clear of Tim Marduk. Tim Marduk in a very dangerous position now because he's 2 seconds away from the top 6 and is now at the mercy of Fabio, Adam Sanderson and Matty in behind. And Grid Jokes as well. That is not a place you want to be, Tom.
Oh, but we could have a 3-wide moment here. Rasin Jai pulling out to the middle of the circuit. Meraki passing Alex Gillen as well. Now they're going to duel down into turn number 12. Alex Gillen from the front to the middle of this train. Meraki sticking that Red Bull nose up the inside of the former champion. 2 tussling as we go into turn number 13. And it is the Alpine, for the time being at least, that holds on to the lead of the race. Sliding out wide slightly is the Alpine of Rasin Jai. And Meraki can't quite capitalise, but he's not going to live this one down.
No, Rasin Jai taking the lead now here on lap 37, and that means now he could yet finish at the very head of the order. We've still got plenty of laps left, though, to decide this very race. Meraki now dancing towards the front end of things. Didn't have the most inspired qualifying session, did Meraki, but now here, initialising his season with the Red Bull team for the first time. Hard to fathom him not being part of Williams any longer, but nonetheless now here in the Red Bull team and looking to try and drive himself up to the front end in a pursuit for a second championship. Rasin Jai thinking of the same, as I'm sure will be Alex Gillen. Formula Karim has certainly not left this race at all. He is right plugged into the back of Alex Gillen as we watch Rig Jokes make his way through the first sector, now dancing through the lefts and rights as they now peel through the slalom before then heading uphill once more, then descending downwards again towards turn 11. Still at this stage, though, this top three, you can't separate them. The gap's thinner than a fly's eyelash. Back comes Karim, who will look to try and dance further forward. He is right on the tail, still riding that rear diffuser of Alex Gillen. These two were fighting it out right through the initial stages of this race. DRS swapping to protect a lead that was eventually broken down through the course of the last safety car, as now Meraki takes the lead for the first time. Back comes now Formula Karim, who looks to try and dance past Alex Gillen. They'll run side by side, coming through out of turn 12. The Papaya McLaren fighting with all its might, and Formula Karim sending a clear message that he is not down and out. He is here to fight, as does Gillen, who has a look at the inside.
Yeah, and you saw Karim, he was desperate to get past Alex Gillen, all over the back of him coming out of turn number 11, saying, come on, get on with it, you're supposed to be a Season 2 champion. Finally getting back through after the blunder at the restart into the podium place, and can now set his sights on that leading duo in front. He's got 2 more former champions that he has to deal with.
Yeah, mightily impressive performance so far from Karim. Whilst the restart wasn't great, he has come back and he's showing the willingness to fight. Of course, has only had so many appearances. He's had 4 top 10s, yet to have a win, yet to have a podium, but today could be the day. Meraki, though, has plenty under his belt. One of the more successful drivers in this series. Adam Sanderson looking to come back into this. Safso has just rejoined, but crucially, it might be the case that his race is pretty much over. He's 18th in this classification and 2.6 off the back of Matty D, and leaving the session like he did could be the final nail in the coffin for Safso's race here today, which is such a shame to see, especially considering his raw talent and ability as a former champion back in Season 1. As we now watch the drivers at the head of the order peel out the top 6 now, flying down the long straight. Formula Karim coming back. We're going to fan out to 3 wide once more. Karim looking to take back the lead that was lost before, as he now likes to go wheel to wheel here with Rasin Jai later on the brakes and daring once more as he looks to dance around the outside of Jai again, coming through out to turn 13 to turn 14. Rasin trying to fend him off. Inside line though for Karim to try and hang on and take that P1 away from the Alpine, but Jai once again relentless, showing he's got plenty more than that and withstands Karim and holds that lead here on 39.
2 very worthy adversaries. Look at the riposte from Rasin Jai. Absolutely brilliant defensive work as Meraki fell behind Alex Gillen. Formula Karim getting really punchy, starting to feel that confidence flow again that he lost on the restart, especially up into this corner, turn number 1. Rasin Jai, is going to make him go the long way around to turn number 1. Once again, is very brave on the brakes. Karim in the Papaya McLaren car, and all the way around the outside of Rasin Jai. Went around the outside of Alex Gillen, went around the outside of Rasin Jai. That is quite the roster.
Yep, stunning move from Formula Karim right in this late stage. 16 laps to go here in this race, 17 if you include this one. Mr. Dale J.E. has left the session, obviously retired earlier on in the race to bring out that second safety car. But Karim now has a grand opportunity to now kick on and show that one lap pace that brought him to the top and take his first pole position in the F1 Creator Series here at the very start, the very beginning of run of play, and now looking to show exactly what he's made of at a very fragile point in the race. Those medium tyres will go the distance. The big question is, though, can anyone stop him? Back comes Rasin Chai, as does Alex Gillen. Gillen looking to try and retake the lead back. Karim forfeiting 2 places. Oh, and that was Rasin Chai, I think, who went very wide, and he's lost to Meraki this time around as well. Meraki into third in the Red Bull. Rasin Chai went so late coming in towards turn 12, he took the escape and Gillen pounced, and in fact Karim somehow didn't lose out at all. He left coming out of turn 11, looking to lose 2 places. He retook them both back coming out of turn 12.
Well, Alex Gillen clearly spooking Rasin Chai in the braking zone at turn number 12. Had a little look up the inside, always was going to back out of it, but Rasin Chai tried to leave him the space, but got his braking all wrong and ended up off the circuit and losing 2 more places to boot as well. Riccio 3 trying to re-overtake Lolanova. Those 2 traded positions at the start of the safety car restart. The win is up the inside to turn number 1, almost taps the back of the Alpine of Rasin Chai in front, but holding it around the outside very, very well indeed is Lolanova, and we remain in formation.
Yeah, the only unfortunate thing, the kryptonite here in Lolinoba's case, is the fact that he's got 3 seconds of time penalties, and that will go against him, especially given how tight its top 6 are bound together. Obviously, no concerns necessarily with Adam Sanderson in behind, because he has got 6 seconds of penalties and 3.6, 3.7 behind Riccio 3 as it stands. But Lolinoba, whilst he has the tools to become potentially a race winner, he's not going to be, given the fact that he has got this 3-second time penalty, and it's such a shame that we can't see that necessarily, see him show exactly what he's capable of in potentially winning this race. Anyone could win it here at this stage. Anyone in this top 6, as Gillen now retakes that lead advantage. Karim now forfeiting down to second. Meraki forfeiting twice and losing out and dropping to third. Rasin Chai still very much part of this dogfight though. Lolinoba also now 5/10 away, as is Ricky 03. This is going to be a sensational 6-car scrap over the lead spot. Who's going to take it? Let us know in the live chat. Lap 41 about to come to an end, and we'll be on to 42. And 14 laps will remain here in the first round of Season 9.
And I tell you what, somebody whose race is in need of a resuscitation once again is the reigning champion Tiamat Marduk. We wondered if he was going to fall through the field. He sat in 16th with 14 laps to go.
He's got to consider now. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the one concern he's going to have is that the top 6 are probably likely not going to pit. Now, they could probably try and take these mediums right to the bitter end here at this stage. It'll be intriguing. I think in this case, he'll be banking on the safety car. He has no choice. We mentioned this, obviously, just after the previous safety car that we just had, but it has not been a day to remember for Tiamat Marduk. The initial 2 soft stint at the very start of the race was certainly the catalyst to this display here in the very latter stages here at Austin, Texas, and now it's left him wanting that little bit more, and in this case, a race to forget, and he's going to have to look ahead now to the next round in order to recapture those points that he's lost. Currently, as it stands, he will score 0. F1 Alex will score 1 point as he's in 15th, as now Karim looks to try and take the lead again, and this time does, ahead of Alex Gillen with Meraki still in 3rd, Rasin Chai in 4th.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the aim of the game now for Ben is don't get any penalties, because if you look at a long list of drivers in front that do have 3, 5, 6, maybe even more seconds worth of penalties looming over their heads, that's going to be the only saving grace for Tiamat Marduk in this race. He's not going to finish, you would imagine, comfortably inside the top 10. It could be maybe 11th or 12th, depends how far Emphatic, how far Grid Jokes managed to get away from the Silver Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, that is the big question. I mean, as it stands, he could potentially be P10 come the end of all this, but we'll wait and see. Obviously, quite a few drivers will be forfeiting a number of places. Fabio, of course, with 12 seconds, that is going to be a huge descent from P7 down the order. We'll wait and see how far or how damaging that truly is. F1 Alex as well with 3 seconds of time penalty, so that again sort of lurches it, into Tiamat Marduk's favour. Not that it needed any more than what he already had. Nick Flies moves ahead of Hayden Gullis as well, as we now watch Nick Flies make his way through turn 1, this time fresh off the back of overtaking Hayden van der Gullis, who is now down in 14th with F1 Alex now in 15th, looking to chase after him. Rasin China with a 3-second time penalty. Oh, dearie me. So he now joins Lolinoba. So hope for Lolinoba to actually gain another spot here, because, of course, they're now equal in terms of penalties accrued. This is not the ending of the race that Rasin Chai surely envisaged.
And it might just give Riccio 3 that little boost that he's been needing. Been sat in 6th for the past 5 or 6 laps as Alex Gillen takes the lead back from Formula Kareem with the help of DRS. Riccio 3 is effectively now fighting for a maiden podium in the F1 Creator Series. If he can dispose of Razin and Lolinoba on the track and maybe try and challenge Meraki in the closing stages, that'll be a brilliant return for the Williams car.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rasin. That is something you did not need at all, and it has now seen you drop, I would say, out of lead contention here. The win has slipped through your fingers. In fact, a podium has as well. As it stands, we've got 3 podium sitters sitting where they are right now, and that's another retirement and a safety car. Oh my goodness me. Great timing for Tiamat Marek. Poor timing for Alex Gillen, who has come around the final corner. Big chance now. Benjamin Daly has got one hope to save his race, and that is to come in for a pit stop. Riccio 3 has thought the same. Matati might do the same as well. We'll wait and see. But drama here at the very end here at COTA. And yes, indeed, they're all coming in. In comes Benjamin Daly. Vipers in. Nick Flies. Hayden Gullis. F1 Alex as well. Well. Matty D13 has caused a stir. And with 12 laps to go, we're going to have a huge almighty scrap, potentially, over this race lead that will extend beyond the top 6 that we had witnessed prior.
I would not be surprised if there's a little bit of money or something heading from Mercedes over to Alpine. Tiamat Marek needed a miracle to try and get himself back into contention. That miracle has befallen him. Matty D13 retiring, the 3rd retiree in the Alpine car. And if there is one driver in this field that can absolutely carve their way through a field of cars, it is our reigning champion.
Great chance here for Benjamin Daly. A truly opportunity that probably thought that had passed him by. He's 11 seconds now behind Zafso as it stands. Not that he'll worry too much. And he's put on a fresh set of medium tyres as well. Already utilised his softs that had been burnt through at the very start of the race, but now he can focus his efforts on this yellow wall tyre. A great race tyre as well, this medium compound. And bear in mind, Gillen, Karim, as well as Meraki in 3rd, Rasin Chai, as well as Lolinoba. They've all accrued 11 laps on their mediums, and they will not be the same towards the bitter ending stages of this race, let alone the fact that they've got a queue of cars in behind that could cause problems, that have all got penalties. So a boon has really been thrown across to Tiamat Marek here in this instance. And Riccio 3, let's not forget him. A great chance for his first ever podium and his first ever win. In the meantime, let's head across to Josh Richards. Josh, what's the score?
Right, so just quickly having a look here, what happens to Matty coming down the straight. Once again, it's a driver choice to bring the safety car out here into the wall here, trying to help out his teammate. I don't think he actually realised that Razin just picked up a 3-second time penalty. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does affect things. But that's where the safety car came from. I've got a couple more clips here as well. This was heading into turn 1. What happened to Formula Karim on the last restart? Going to be looking to do a little bit better than this one. Just a little bit late on the brakes. Went deep to avoid Alex, and then that cost him the position to Razin and Meraki on the exit. Also, Razin struggling a little bit on the brakes for, later on as well. It's not just Kareem who is struggling. So this was the battle. Kareem, Razin and Alex all heading down towards the heavy braking zone at the end of the straight. Razin over to the inside. Alex went even further to the inside, trying to spook Razin, and then a small mistake there. You can see the Alpine sliding right off the road, lost a couple of positions, dropped himself down to P4 as a result.
Drama. Thank you very much, Josh Richards, for that insight. Obviously, we're going to be witnessing, once again, a thrill ride of a finish here, this time at COTA, Tom. I can't wait for this one. I mean, again, I'm going to ask you the question that probably no one will really know. Where is this going?
I really cannot tell you, because I've just looked at the telemetry we've got. Alex Gillen and Formula Kareem both have 2 corner-cutting warnings. So they're on the verge of potentially picking up a 3-second penalty. That would potentially throw the race in the favour of Meraki, who, to be honest, has looked slower than Alex Gillen and Formula Kareem and than Razin Chai, but at the moment is a little bit safer when it comes to those corner-cutting penalties. So Alex Gillen and Formula Kareem potentially going to have to leave a little bit of time on the table. Meraki hasn't got a lot to lose.
No, he certainly doesn't. I must say, it's looking like it could be a big day for the Red Bull driver. Safety car confirmed in this lap. Let us know, folks, in the live chat who you think's going to win this one. Will we see some late drama right at the very last? Alex Gillen, Formula Karim, Meraki. It would make zero sense for them to come into the pits here at this point. They've got to see this race through, surely. But does that hand the baton of opportunity to those further down? Ricky 03, for example, who's decided to go on softs. Intriguing to see both Ricky and Tiamat Marduk adopting two very different strategies here. Ricky on the softs, Tiamat Marduk on fresh medium tyres. Who is going to certainly perform the better coming into the last stages of this race? Bear in mind, of course, they will now have DRS, and now as they put their foot to the floor, they'll venture around the final corner this time around, and it will be pedal to the metal for the fourth time in this race this time now. Alex Gillen takes them through up towards turn one. Karim following in hot pursuit. Meraki down in third. Rasin Chai also then further back. Lolin Ober cruising on through as well. A very orderly start indeed. But Ricky 03 already pouncing on Matati for that 10th spot. And also Matati trying to fight back as well as they now fly through the first sector. As you can see, just in behind Tiamat Marduk in the bottom right of screen. Matati has been disposed of by Ricky, but Tiamat Marduk needs to do the same, and he might do it this time. As a look up the inside, coming up over the crest, will he dance around the outside as he then creep through up towards turn 10? Yes! It's going to be the Aussie, Tiamat Marduk, 11th place, following Ricky, and crucially enough, withholds the DRS.
There is another one to put in the scrapbook of incredible. Tiamat Marduk overtakes box office as usual as he tries to recover the best he can, the reigning champion, up into 11th place. Suddenly, this is looking very, very rosy indeed. He could potentially finish 4th in this race. Tell you that 10 laps ago, and you would have told me I was an absolute moron.
Yeah, well, once more, they're dancing here at turn 12. Hayden Gullis into P12 manages to hold back the tirade that is F1 Alex, at least for the time being. So the Williams driver does ascend. Matati losing places, hand over fist, round the outside, looking for a potential switchback. It won't come at all. F1 Alex managing to push him down into 14th. Alex now up into 13th. So they're crucially trying to utilise their fresher compounded tyres. They're on fresh softs. So they're going to look to try and gain places to try and move up into the top 10. DRS now enabled now to get the next lap underway. Gillen with a 7/10 of a second cushion as Karim comes under attack here from Meraki as well. Meraki not in a position where he feels he can challenge for that P2 spot. It would be senseless to do it now. Wait for the main straight. As you can see, those that have got penalties, there's a huge stream of them from Ps4 all the ways down to Ps9, with Ricky now pouncing all over the back of Grid Jokes on his fresh soft compounded tyre, and Tiamat Marduk definitely looking in a better place now than when he was midway through this race.
100%. Just want to go back to the final corner. Formula Cream almost rolled out the red carpet for Meraki because he had a huge moment of oversteer just as he got to the apex of turn number 20. Managed to catch the slide, managed to keep it on the straight and narrow, and managed not to lose that position to the Red Bull, which could prove crucial in 10 laps' time.
Yeah, look at this. Ricky and Tiamat Marduk dancing together coming around the corner at turn 11. It got very tight between them, but Ricky managing to hold on. Of course, the grip. There is some favourable grip on those soft tyres, obviously, in this instance, but it will wear off as Ricky now dives at the inside of Grid Jokes, manages to get the place done. Obviously, Tiamat Marduk's going to look to do the same as soon as he can, and he will, as we run on board with him in the bottom right hand of screen. He's going to stay side by side here with Grid Jokes again. He's going to try and hold down the outside now, coming through in towards this next hexagonal curves, coming through turn 16, 17 and 18. Tiamat Marduk into 10th, and now chasing after Ricky once again. This time, though, he's in the points for sure, top 10 places, but now needs to go to work. We have now got 9 laps left, and F1 Alex has had a serious moment, loses the car altogether, and that is a yellow flag here on lap 47.
And Ricky 03 down to turn number 1, attacking the first Mercedes of Adam Sanderson, stuck in behind the Haas of Scott Taylor. Very, very efficient move from Ricky 03 as he uses those soft compound tyres to his advantage. F1 Alex does retire. We've got a safety car. I think he's crashed into the pit wall.
I think he must have. Yet another safety car called out onto the track on lap 48 of 56. But again, Karim, Gillen, Meraki, Chai, Lolinoba, you name it. They can't change tyres, really, can they? At this point, it'd be absolute madness to do so. But what this does do, it does hand an opportunity to those drivers because it reduces the opportunity for Ricky 03 and Tiamat Marduk to get those crucial overtakes done.
Yes. Double-edged sword, isn't it? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can slash the tyre offset that the likes of Ricky have got, the likes of Tim at Marduk have got, but at the expense of all of that track position you've worked so hard to accumulate over the 48 laps of this 56-lap Grand Prix. I'll be fascinated to see if anyone does roll the dice and try to dive into the pits. Maybe one of the drivers that currently has a penalty, if it's something that they can remove in the box, and maybe try and attack late on in this race.
Wait and see. It'll be a thrilling moment to see if anyone does. I can't imagine they will, though, because at the end of the day, the deltas are so thin. I mean, if you saw the top 7 all come in for a change of tyres, Ricky would be your race leader, no question. Tim and Marduk would be up into P2 as well. I mean, the only drivers that really, well, you would factor in all those on 15 to 16 lap old tyres. I mean, how are those tyres going to be towards the bitter end of this race? We are seeing pit stops, and that's a big moment as we now watch the Alpine and the Ferrari start to duke it out. Now, that is Infratic that's come in. This is great news if you're Tim at Marduk here at this point, because it's taken away a string of drivers in that top 10 that are in the way of you obtaining a podium place. So there we have it, and obviously serving some penalties as well. Infratic in the pits, Matati also in, so double stacking at Ferrari. Rasin Chai coming in for fresh softs, grid jokes on fresh softs as well. So Nick Flies is going to be in trouble here because he's got 16 lap old mediums. He's going to be very quickly pounced on, and we've got others as well.
Meraki's been disqualified.
Oh my goodness me! And Meraki, yes, ignoring yellow flags, a disqualification for Meraki.
The safety car's caused carnage.
Yeah, the safety car has definitely caused a bit of trouble here. Every single car moving past. Incredible. I must say, this is something we have not seen at all here in this moment of Create Series. Meraki disqualified from the race. He will not be winning at Kota tonight.
Well, he's still going. I would have thought if he'd been disqualified, he would have been kicked out already.
Well, you would have thought, yeah, it's strange, isn't it? But we saw the notice up at the very top that he had been disqualified. So what's the story in Balamori here, Tom?
I could not tell you. This game is... I've just seen Formula Kareem's got massive front wing damage. He's lost the complete left-hand side of his front wing. So something has gone on. Some kerfuffles, some scuffles under the safety car. And Formula Kareem, we're thinking, what have I done to deserve this? He's got half a front wing, equivalent to a plank of wood on the left-hand side of his car, and surely he has to come into the pits now, because if he stays out, he's just going to be losing time hand over fist, and that is an absolute race ruiner.
That is a shocker for Formula Karim, especially coming from pole position. You know, where he started, his one-lap pace, his race pace has been, absolutely sensational. We're on lap 49 of 56. One can only question as to what's going to happen now right at this bitter end. We've seen Meraki supposedly disqualified from the race. Still, though, seems to be carrying on around the track. We got cars that have just passed it.
Oh, Ricky spun! Ricky spun! Sorry just to jump in there, George, but Ricky into the penultimate corner has dropped it. I wonder if there was maybe contact with one of the Mercedes cars that he was with. But even more carnage. These guys cannot seem to behave under the safety car.
Well, again, I don't want to say it, but this is once again handed a silver spoon to Tim at Marduk, because that has taken a very hefty contender for this race win with Ricky 03. We're now waiting for the cars to obviously regather in the back of the safety car. Let's see him make sure it's behaving as it should. The safety car has indeed stopped just before turn 11, so you'd father that they will form up and reform the train in behind the safety car as you'd expect. Meraki still seemingly going around the circuit. Obviously, we'll go across very shortly across to Joshua to find out more, but Formula Karim continuing despite the wing damage. There's the safety car. Does it pick up the front runners? Surely it has to. Yes, there it is. It's picked up the front runners. We will head across now to Josh Richards. Josh, give us the scoop.
Right, so first and foremost, we're riding on board with Alex here, catching up to the safety car. Formula Karim, very sudden stop there. Alex straight through the middle. Everybody just piling in through. And then you saw in the back on there, Formula Karim hit the safety car. But look how far Meraki's gone past. I think that's why the disqualification message came up, but nothing actually came up, I don't think, for the drivers. Everybody does eventually get back past, but it was a bit of a kerfuffle. They are getting told to pass the safety car. So that's what happened from Alex's POV. Everything suddenly came to a stop. We'll watch it from Meraki's POV, a bit scarier, if I have to say, from his side. As he's coming in, as he is approaching, he just suddenly gets... Oh, we'll go back again. I think it lagged a bit. Just a wall of cars appeared in front of him. He goes past. He never actually... He hasn't got the illegal overtake message at the top. He's trying to let them back through, but I think he then decides to go because it is telling him to overtake Kareem. I think they then just got the pass through basically to go for another lap. So he is, as far as I'm aware, still running in the race. I don't think he has actually been disqualified.
Well, there we have it, folks. Thank you for that, Joshua. Really appreciate that. Lip readers, no question as to what Jake was saying in the top right of your screen. For good reason as well. Very nearly planted his Red Bull into the back of the safety car. Little essences of Abu Dhabi 2021, Tom.
Oh, you're a brave man bringing that up. It's, yeah. Jake, I wonder how his underpants are looking. Code brown as he came up to the safety car there. I exhaled massively because that's scary. You're going to absolutely brick it when you see that. Formula Kareem, you have to feel for him. I wondered if it was maybe somebody going into the back of him that then pushed him into the back of somebody else. It was just him clattering into the safety car, completely blindsided, but that completely changes the complexion of this race. Formula Kareem leads, but it's not looking good at all for him. And your heart goes out because he's been the star of the field, you have to say.
It could have been a first win of his Creator Series period at Creator Series as a whole. Of course, he's only scored prior to this 4 top 10s historically, and currently as it stands, he's going to be under great scrutiny from others in behind. Alex Gillen is going to be a tough contender. You've got Meraki as well, who I would say, obviously, we now know that he's still in the race. Obviously, he hasn't been disqualified. That's just something that's shown up from our race director. Obviously, an error under the safety car procedure, which is now seemingly being corrected. Tim Marduk obviously in this fight as well. Lolin Ober and Scott Taylor, both Hasses performing well on track, but the penalties are going to be their biggest enemy here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many Scott has got. I'll just try and get that up. Lolin Ober, I'm pretty sure, is just the 3 seconds. And Scott is just 3 seconds as well. Yeah, but he has got 5 warnings. So one more warning for Scott. That would take him to 6 seconds worth of penalties. Tim Marduk. I don't know how he's managed to do this. We spoke about it when the safety car came out. He finds himself up in 6th. I think on this restart, he's going to be saying, don't stop me now, because he could potentially still win this race.
I can already picture the title of his next video. Bizarre race to Texas. I mean, who would have thought any of this would happen, folks? We've had numerous safety cars and now we're in a position now. We're about to get underway and bring it close to yet another one. We've only got now 5 laps left in this race, and then we'll decide who the race winner truly is. Formula Kareem up at the front for now, but obviously remember, has that serious critical wing damage to the front end, has got Gillen all over his tail. That's the last person you want behind you, a former champion back in season 2, but this time with Racing Bulls looking to start his season off with a bang and could potentially do that. Meraki also looking to do the same, currently sat in 3rd place for Red Bull. Lolin Ober and Scott Taylor for Haas in 4th and 5th. Tim Marduk, though, what can he bring to the table? He has got fresher tyres than anybody so far in this top 10, or should I say at least those on medium tyres in the top 10 as they now get underway. It's pedal to the metal now for the 5th time in this race, and team radio for Tim Marduk. Let's cook indeed. Alex Gillen's cooking though. He's up the inside of Formula Kareem and is going to challenge the McLaren straight off the bat. We get underway, contact between the pair. Kareem not giving way, and Meraki now pounces as well. He's into 2nd, Lolin Ober into 3rd. Gillen's lost out and he's got his arch nemesis Tim Marduk right behind him, a swarm of cars, a gaggle. Gillen's made contact with Lolin Ober as well. Oh, has he? Gillen into 2nd. Tim Marduk into 3rd here on lap 52.
Oh, Formula Kareem's gone. Kareem's out. Oh no, it's Lolin Ober. I think they've come to blows. Ben has serious damage though. He clattered into the back of somebody in that massive kerfuffle we saw. We've got the safety car out again. This could get very, very messy with penalties. Formula Kareem has survived. He had a huge crash coming out of turn number 10 with Lolin Ober going from bad to worse. Alex Gillen was smelling blood. Formula Kareem was wounded, but they came to blows and that caused, well, the calamities that we saw afterwards.
Well, it was a bit of a mishmash. At that point, I was convinced that there was going to be Tim Marduk there. You can just see on screen. Now, is there damage to that front wing? Is there an end plate missing? Yes, there's an end plate missing. That front right end plate is missing on the front of the Mercedes. He's going to lose a huge amount of drag. That is going to be a calamity for the Aussie now. And obviously with Alex Gillen in front, he's going to be licking his lips. But you have to wonder whether the tyre offset might be the difference maker here. This is going to be absolutely... This is a bizarre turn of events. Obviously, there was a mishmash coming through out of the slalom, coming up the hill, then coming down. Obviously, drama. Lolin Ober got caught out. Formula Kareem, we already knew was going to drop down the field. But we're going to head across anyway. Joshua Richards, try and diagnose that one for us, please.
Yeah, well, this is a very, very, very chaotic one. Starting here, heading into turn 1 on board with Ben. This was a great POV to see everything that was happening. As you can see, into turn 1, Alex went for that move on Formula Karim, making their way through turn 2. There's a little bit of contact. They come together. Alex snaps off the track, goes a bit wide, coming back onto the track, more contact. Ben, this is where he's picked up the front wing damage. Everybody just it's a bit of chaos really heading through this first sector, 2x2 in front of them. Lolanova makes a bit of contact there with Alex, not much there, and there's more contact. That's where Karim spun off, and Lolanova as well. I'm not actually sure where the Lolanova DNF came from, but that's where all the chaos really came from. It was that initial contact between Alex and Karim through turn 2, and then it all just transpired from that.
Right, thank you for that, Joshua. I do wonder, looking back at that, Tom, the Alex Gillen rejoin.
Yes. A little bit questionable, I think, is the best way to put it. Just want to quickly direct everyone's attention because we had more kerfuffles under the safety car. We had exactly the same thing. The safety car was stopped on the racing line. Everybody had to slam the anchors on. I don't think anybody picked up damage, but it was Tiamat Marduk who got overtaken by a couple of cars. Dark Viper GT, who was penaltyless and running in 4th place, did pick up a penalty for, I believe, overtaking under the safety car.
Yeah, well, there we have it. So, yeah, more penalties being dished out. It now leaves the top 3 all without penalties. Is it in the hands of Meraki right now, do you think, Tom?
I wouldn't say it's in his hands because he's got Alex Gillen to deal with, who is a crude operator. He may have a bit of a cloud hanging over his head because of that little rejoin we saw, but these are 2 drivers that are going to be incredibly, incredibly motivated to start the season off on a high. They've both had a few scrapes, both had a few bumps in the last 5 laps in particular. They've managed to come through it. I think it is just going to be an exclusive club of those 2 batting for the win because everybody behind is wounded, and I think that's the best way to put it.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing Alex Gillen criticise his own rejoin on his Monday morning debrief. I can't wait for that. Well, it's not Monday morning, it's usually Monday evening, isn't it? But yeah, safety car still out on track. I have to say, it looked overzealous for my liking. Into the pits comes, by the looks of it, an Aston Martin. That is Dark Viper coming into the pits. So there we have it. Meraki still out in front. Alex Gillen second. Tiamat Marduk third. Adam Sanderson now up in amongst the top 5 as well. Racing Chai has somehow brought himself to within the top 5 as well. Penalties being served for Dark Viper. Racing Chai, bear in mind, only on 5-lap-old softs, so not out of the question either, though he does have a penalty though.
Yeah, I think if you're Tiamat Marduk firstly, you're going to be looking at this thinking, I've got that damage, but everybody behind me down to, I think it's Matati in 10th place, has some variation of a penalty. Ricky's got very old soft compound tyres. I doubt he'll be able to fight his way back through. Be interesting to see what Formula Kareem can do from 14th. Penaltyless, brand new soft compound tyres, fix that car up. As for Razin Chai, that 3-second penalty is a hurdle that he's going to have to climb over, but it's a 2-lap sprint. I would not be surprised if he can get ahead of Tiamat Marduk, that he can build a 3-second buffer, especially with the time that Ben's going to lose in the first sector.
Well, we've seen what can happen in the first sector alone based on the fact that the safety car was brought out in the first place. So I mean, it's, anything can happen. Tiamat Marduk, whilst obviously he is in a situation where he's got severe damage on his front wing, I do wonder whether the tyre offset is going to counteract that issue, and he's still going to have a chance of taking this because he's going to have convincingly more grip than Meraki and Alex Gillen here at this point, despite Meraki leading, Gillen in second at this stage. Truly bizarre scenes. Lap 54 of 56. We're going to have at least one racing lap, surely. The safety car still remains out on track. Do wonder whether it's going to come in this lap. It certainly will, as race control let us know. So there we have it. Here we go. Meraki at the head of the order, 0.6 of a second to the good. We've got 3 former champions in the top 3 once more. One of them is a 2-time champion. That is Tiamat Marduk. Of course, now at the head of the order, Meraki looking to bring home his 10th win in the F1 Creator Series. He's got 34 podiums as well. He looks set to take a 35th at the very least. Obviously, remember, took his championship back in Season 4, and it was between he and Tiamat Marduk. They fought it out. As I said before, they duelled at Spa to decide that title, and it went Meraki's way. As we now watch them, as you can just see, just showing in Gillen's mirrors, Tiamat Marduk giving him a full view of that silver arrow here on the opening race of the season. You'd think it'd be the season finale here at this point, but now as they build up the speed and head around the final corner, they're going to put surely pedal to the metal for the 5th, and you'd expect final time here in this United States Grand Prix. It's Meraki who leads the way. Alex Gillen in second. Closing up to the back now, Tiamat Marduk still very much in this fight. Adam Sanderson, his teammate, surely has got to do him the service and provide that protective buffer to keep Rasin Chai at bay.
You would think so. Little bit of speedway teaming going on. I tell you what, Tiamat Marduk hasn't lost too much time in the first sector so far. He's got a couple of corner cutting warnings that he can try and use as well. He's clinging onto the coattails of Alex Gillen. Watch this space. Because of that limited front downforce, he's going to be very quick in a straight line.
Yeah, he certainly will. He will gain a little bit of extra straight line speed, and also with the utilisation of slipstream, it'll be very useful, and not forgetting the extra grip he'll have on his medium compounded tyre. Remember, the top two on 22 lap old mediums. Tiamat Marduk has only got 11. He's got half the tyre life that Alex Gillen. He's got half the better life on his tyres than the front two have themselves. Adam Sanderson having a look in the mirrors there of his teammate as now Tiamat Marduk dances around the outside of Alex Gillen. Is he going to try and hold it together? They're going to battle over P2 now, this time very early on. Of course, remember, this is the penultimate lap of the race, and Gillen made a little bit of contact. The front right made contact with the left of Tiamat Marduk's Mercedes, as now we watch them come through now on the penultimate lap. Very soon will be the final lap. It's a Mercedes and a Red Bull up in the front again. Meraki in front. It's Tiamat Marduk in second. They will fight for race supremacy here at Austin, Texas.
And it's another flashpoint, though, between Ben and Alex, once again intertwined with each other. And it was Alex this time coming off second best. He has to keep his head in it, though, because he can still get past the Mercedes. Tiamat Marduk half a second off the back of Meraki if we start the final lap. Look at this cluster of cars. Hayden Gullis finding himself in 5th position. Going to get a nosebleed from that spot. Rasin Chai in 6th at the moment. Maybe has a little bit of damage on that right-hand end plate. Safso trying to go the long way round into the kinks of 4, 5 and 6. Can't quite force that RB far enough alongside the Alpine.
Hayden Gullis has got, as I say, 34 top 10s of his own, only one podium under his belt, but could be in line to make it 35 top 10s this season at the very least. Obviously, throughout the course of his Creator Series campaign, throughout the course of his entire career in the Creator Series. Lap 56 of 56, we're on the final lap. Important race-winning manoeuvre potentially on hand here for Benjamin Daly. The Aussie now moves up alongside Meraki, former title rivals. Tiamat Marduk this time gets one up on Meraki this time, coming through towards turn 12, but he's got to hold it together for the rest of the lap. Meraki now licking his wounds in second, and has still got Alex Gillen in behind.
Well, he's got to be careful, Ben, because he's got that front wing damage, and this sector is going to affect him dearly. Meraki dropping time, though. A little bit of understeer for the Mercedes. How does he do it, though? How does he continue to pull the rabbit out of the hat? Shades of Lewis Hamilton in Saudi Arabia of 2021. When you've got the bit between your teeth, it doesn't matter how much damage you've got, because you could charge through the field and in the end defeat a Red Bull car to take the victory. The reigning champion was down and out halfway through this race. He was 16th about 15 laps ago, but he wins and takes the fastest lap to boot as well. It is Tiamat Marduk with arguably the greatest Creator Series comeback you are ever going to see.
It looked unlikely, only the small matter of 15 laps or so ago, but he came back and fought, didn't he, folks? That's win number 14 for Tiamat Marduk. Podium number 42, the two-time champion, looking set to continue his illustrious campaign. It looked in doubt after the early stages on those soft tyres, but he came back, a phoenix rising from the ashes to take victory here at COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, ignited with an Aussie flag. What a tremendous performance then to retain that lead spot. Team Radio coming in. Yes, what a way to start the season. Exactly right, Benjamin Daly. You are a race winner once more, ahead of Meraki in second place. Alex Gillen in third. A tremendous performance. And there we have it. I tell you what, if that is what we can expect from the rest of these 13 rounds, then we're going to be in for a treat. Let's take you through the final order, folks. Tiamat Marduk is your race winner. He has taken all the spoils here at COTA. Meraki in second, Alex Gillen in third, Matati in fourth place as well for Ferrari. Formula Karim fighting back to fifth. Hayden Gullis, a top 10 once more as well in sixth. Zapso also fighting back from what could have been disillusionment. He's in seventh now. Rasin Chai in eighth as well. Adam Sanderson in ninth. Ricky 03. What could have been for him? He finished in 10th. Scott Taylor in 11th with Nick Flies in 12th as well. Infratic in 13th. Grid Jokes in 14th. Dark Viper 15th. Lolinoba in 16th and retired. We also lost as well F1 Alex, Matty D13, Mr. Dale, and Deathlink. They did not finish the race.
How do you sum that up? Who do we give driver of the day to? I mean, so many questions to ask. Formula Cream, you mentioned it there, came back through to finish 5th in the end. I think with everything that went on in the last 15 laps or so, he will probably take that very decent chunk of points. If you're Meraki, if you're Alex Gillen, you're probably thinking you've missed a trick a little bit there. Tim Mark had the damage. You mentioned he had the tyre offset, which was correct, but surely they should have been able to hold on to that position.
Well, I mean, on one level, I mean, you can say that, they made a mistake, Alex Gidden or Meraki, but essentially they were on the right strategy, really, judging from what we saw from the early safety cars. If anyone was really on the wrong end of it here, Tom, it was Tiamat Marduk, really, but he just managed to, a little bit of fortune crept his way, and he was able to really take his opportunity. So there we have it, incredible. We're going to hear now from one of our podium sitters. It's the one, the only, Alex Gillen. He's going to be joining us now very shortly. Alex, can you hear us?
Hello, I can, yes.
Well, I don't know how we're going to quite, I'm sure you'll be able to on the Monday debrief, but I mean, I don't know how we break all this down. We had a multitude of safety cars. Any semblance of strategy goes out the window. And especially, you scrutinize it more when you've only got the option of soft and medium tyres. Just talk us through your race.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, new year, same old Creator Series, all the safety cars in that one. But honestly, I'm happy with that race. My target was podium. I'm going for this title this season. My target was podium every single race, and I got a podium. Obviously, I was hoping for more. Me and Karim were quite far away at stages, but with the amount of carnage we saw at the end there with those safety cars and it going super slow and the contact, people getting damaged, people getting penalties, I've got to be happy with P3. I'm happy. It was a good move by Ben at the end as well there. He saved his set of tyres for the late strategy and put a good move on me. So, yeah, good race. I'll take P3.
Yeah, I mean, really looking back, I was just saying to Tom that if you look at it, on face value prior to the late safety cars, both you and Meraki were on the right strategy, you'd think. So you can't really say you did anything wrong in any instance.
I mean, the strategy in Creator Series really is to save a tyre for the end, because there's almost always late safety cars. So you've got to make sure you got a tyre. And I guess I didn't quite adapt well enough. With short qualifying, we had one less set of softs. So I did 2 runs on slicks in qualifying, which allowed me only 1 set of softs for the race. And as you say, obviously, hard to ban. So it makes it really restrictive on tyres. 2 sets of medium, 1 new set of soft was all I had for the race. I used all 3, nothing I could do. Whereas Ben did 1 run in qualifying, give him an extra set of softs in the race, which he was able to use. And it meant he had pretty decent tyres at the end there. So yeah, a little bit of a adjustment needed, I think, for the next short qualifying race.
And it looks like we're going to be in for one of our most furiously competitive seasons, I think, of all. I mean, if we look at some of the new names creeping through, I'm looking at Ricky 03, but especially Formula Karim after his qualifying performance. Are you expecting this title fight to really go down to the wire with multiple combatants?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think in qualifying, 2nd to 8th was covered by about 2/10. So it looks like we're in for another sweaty Creator Series season. So those that like to see that kind of thing, you're in the money. But yeah, definitely. I mean, me and Krim in the mid race pulled away a little bit with the help of a bit of cars on different strategy. But then we did seem to have the pace once we were away. But at the end there, I tried every safety car to get away to try and break that DRS, and I never could. These guys are super quick. Although me and Krim pulled away, that was not representative, I don't think, of the real pace of everybody. And it's going to be, hopefully we don't see quite as much carnage as we saw today, but it's going to be a close season by the looks of it, so I'm excited for it.
Dare I say, it brings out the power of the slipstream, I think, in many ways. But
well, yeah, and DRS games, all sorts. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. But that's podium number 30 for you. Congratulations, and we'll look ahead now to round 2.
Well, cheers, guys.
Thank you. Alex Gillen, everybody, joining us then for an interview. Always fantastic hearing from him. Obviously, one of the deep analysts where it comes down to looking at some results that we have in the Creator Series. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be doing his Monday debrief, so make sure you check that out as well. I mean, Tom, he's right? I mean, we're definitely in for a very competitive championship, I think, considering the new names that are now popping up.
100%, and we're missing big names as well. We had no GB68 tonight. He is surely going to be right up there challenging next week. Had no Tom, has been a little bit inconsistent of times of late, but we know the outright pace that Alpine driver holds. We saw flashes of what Razin Chai is capable of as well. Just got caught up with that penalty and then didn't necessarily make the wrong strategy call, but just found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time, which was unfortunate. You got Tim at Marduk, you got Alex Gillen, you got Meraki. They're always going to be challenging at the top. And then there's these new breed of drivers coming through. Formula Cream, Ricky 03, Lolin Ober was right in there as well. Two former Formula 2 champions battling it out right at the top of F1. I mean, you'd love to see it. You couldn't have asked for a better start to the season, I don't think.
No, you definitely couldn't. We do have 2 more interviews to bring you. One of them, of course, we'll bring Meraki in next as well. Obviously, the man who finished just in behind our race winner, Tiamat Marduk. Meraki joins us now. Welcome, Jake. I must say, I think you can consider yourself probably quite fortunate that you're here, because on our screen, you were disqualified.
It was trying to hold me back. It was scared that I was going to win the race, so it de-SQ'd me.
Yeah, you nearly had a very up close and personal relationship with Bernd Mailander, I also saw.
I don't know what happened there. I saw Jesus. It wasn't fun. But I'm just happy I didn't get damage, because I know Karim, he got red wing damage from that, so his race was completely over. I don't understand what the safety car was doing. I
can tell you Jesus was not your saviour in that instance. It was very close.
I'm just going to say that they are.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Unbelievable. I mean, we just had Alex in. Obviously, both you and Alex were on pretty similar strategies. I think you were near enough identical, in fact. Judging off what obviously occurred, there wasn't really anything you guys could really do any better, really, judging from what we saw in the early stages. It was the late safety car that really turned it all on its head.
Yeah, so it was like, obviously, the start of the race, I think we had like one safety car where pretty much everyone started on softs, and then we all went onto their mediums. And then there was a lot of fighting, and then I think Karim and Alex just pulled away by like 6-7 seconds. So my teammate, being the greatest teammate of all time, he kind of brought me back into that race, because I think without that safety car, it would have been like way tougher. And I think Ben got very lucky on the strat kind of perspective of it, because he went soft, and he had his mediums at the end, and then we got the safety car caused at the end, which just absolutely blessed him, because he had like 15% fresher mediums than everybody else. So that was that, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bizarre instance, wasn't it? Because we all thought that Ben was in a sticky wicket. Obviously, the softs were falling off at Kota, and it's no surprise, because the degradation is high around that circuit when you consider that you've got some very fast-paced corners. It does provide a huge excessive load, especially when you're really ploughing that on a car like that, on that kind of tyre. It didn't take long, obviously, for Ben's tyres to dissipate towards that early running, but it seemed like he gained a lot on the medium.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where, like, we went on our we had 2 sets of mediums, and we kind of went on those from lap 4. So we kind of had to just try and drag that first set of mediums out as long as we possibly could. And then when we got like a late safety car at the end, because the softs are just god awful around here because of the tyre wear, like you said, it's just it was either just go mediums to the end or just kind of stay out and wait for another safety car. And I think the safest bet was to just box and take those mediums to the end. Because I was fully aware at the end that Ben was going to get past me, so I was only really focusing on keeping Alex behind me, which I guess worked out in the end.
It did work out, and I mean, that's your 35th podium of the season as well. I can see that you're wearing blue, but a different blue than what we'd usually expect, because obviously you've left Williams now, and you're now driving for Red Bull in the Creator Series at the very least, and partnering up with Dale. Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfect way to start the journey with Red Bull, really, because it was looking quite tricky at the start of the race, obviously with the massive gap, but now I'm pretty happy with how it's gone with the new team. So, yeah.
Well, it can't start much better, mate. Let's be honest. 35 podiums now under your belt. We look ahead to round 2. Congratulations, Jake.
Thanks, mate.
Well done.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. That's Meraki, everybody. Of course, finishing in second, and quite rightly, I think, happy. Of course, Tom, obviously leaving Williams, a place where he's been part of, obviously, since the very beginning, really, of Creator Series, and now moving into pastures new.
Yeah, and I think he'll look at this race, and I think eventually he'll put a positive spin on it. We saw how last season didn't quite work out as he would have wanted, was never able to string together consistent results. Pace at sometimes was lacking as well. So to kick off with a race where the pace was solid, got himself a very decent haul of points, I think, tomorrow morning or something, he'll look back and go, we did a decent job.
Well, we can now bring you the moment you've all been waiting for. It's our race winner, of course, the Aussie talent himself, the man who is a 2-time champion and reigning champion of the F1 Creator Series. And I bet he can't even believe that he's here. It's Benjamin Daly, Tiamat Marduk. Ben, what on earth happened in that race? Goodness me. The initial stint didn't quite work. Obviously, the tyres don't seem to like it around Kota, but the mediums definitely paid off trumps for you, but those crucial safety cars at the very end were definitely a game changer.
Oh, absolutely. It was a calculated Hail Mary, super risky strategy, and it paid off. I'm going to come out and say this straight up. Like, I don't know if I necessarily deserved the win, but I can recognize that I was super lucky to have my strat pay off. I do feel a bit bad about Jake and Alex, but you know, at the end of the day, we planned for this strategy, knowing that safety cars are a thing, create a series, and we put ourselves in the right position to capitalize at the end. Even with the damage, I got damage off of. There was an incident with Karim and Alex, which certainly leveled things off in those last couple of laps. But thankfully, the tire advantage was enough to get me over the line there.
I actually mentioned that, funny enough, to Tom. We were talking about it. Obviously, any comments on Alex Gillen's interesting rejoin?
I need to look at it back, but it probably was a bit dodgy. But I'll hold thought until I see it. It's one of those things. You want to get back on the track and not lose positions. At the end of the race, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, but you're absolutely spot on. I definitely think the tyre offset helped, I think, against the others in retaining that pace, despite the loss of the end plate on your front right-hand side. Perfect way to start, though. Obviously, you're in a quest now for a third title. No one has actually done more than one, so you're the only one who's done multiple titles.
Yeah.
To make it 3, that would be huge.
Yeah, that is the plan, to eventually do that. We've got off to the perfect start now, but I mean, I wasn't coming into the season with any title aspirations. I was actually looking forward to having a chilled, like, no pressure kind of season, just have fun. I'm switching wheel manufacturers next week, and there's going to be some betting in time while I get up to speed. So for that reason, I'd kind of already written myself off, and here we are leading the championship again. What have I got myself into?
I don't think we can leave you out anymore, my friend. There's absolutely no way. I mean, obviously, looking ahead now, we've got a vibrant 13-round calendar.
Oh. He's out of here.
Oh no, we've lost George.
And we've got a mixed weekend.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Oh, sorry, I'm back now. Sorry, apologies.
You said vibrant calendar. Go from there.
Yeah, we got a 13-round vibrant calendar. We got various different races. We got standard races. We've got sprint races, and also at the same time we've got this the standard race, sprint race, and of course the double header. So, are you excited about the prospects of those variances?
Oh yeah, now that I've like mentally prepared myself for like double headers or a thing, I'm quite looking forward to it. I think we have one next week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's gonna be spicy. I do prefer the 100% races with the strategy, like as you saw today. I like doing the extra pit stops versus staying out, waiting for safety cars, blah blah blah. There's less strategy in 50s, but you know, variety is the spice of life, and so for that reason, I'm looking forward to all formats. Just enjoying it, having fun, and yeah, having a good time. So let's put on a show and have a good season.
Well, if it's anything like tonight, we're going to be in for a real treat. Ben, congratulations on another fantastic win, and we look forward to seeing more. That's win number 14. Let's see what round 2 brings.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you very much, Ben. Benjamin Daly, everybody. Team at Marduk, fantastic talent as always. 2-time champion. Could be 3 come the end of this carries on. Tom, what do you make of it?
It's incredible, isn't it? We've seen races like this before in the past. Think of, Canada 2011, probably one of the most famous races of all time, where every single thing goes wrong until it goes right on the final lap of the race, for example. So I think Ben, for someone that's been around for so long, so experienced, he knows how to handle situations like this. He would have thought, okay, it's not going well. We've made a strategy call that for the moment isn't working, but we can bring it back. And I've got the pace to side my way back through the field. I've done it before. If I can do it again, we're on for a barnstorming finish. And that's certainly what we got.
We definitely got that. I'm going to bring in as well our man Joshua Richards, who was managing the clip book today. Obviously, he had all the insight and all the incidents, all the moments. Josh, it was a bit of a barnstormer of a race. What a way to kick off Season 9. Still a huge question mark, really, as to who's going to be potential champion. Obviously, whilst TM at Marduk gets off to a grand start, whilst obviously it wasn't necessarily their day today, you've got to look at the guys like Ricky and Formula Karim. On any other day, we could see those guys take their first wins, their first podiums.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the pace was amazing, especially from Karim. He was leading quite a significant portion of that race. Got really unlucky with the damage under that safety car. I mean, if things had just gone slightly different for him, that could have easily been a first win for him. He was looking in great form. I mean, it's not really going to change, I don't think, heading through the rest of the season. Once the luck finally does go his way, I think he will definitely be one to watch out for. His pace, I think he's going to be one of the title contenders this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're absolutely spot on. Tom, do you think the same? Do you think we could see Ricky and Karim mix it up with the likes of Meraki, Ben Daly, and also Alex Gillen as well?
Mix it up, yes. I worry a little bit for Karim because I don't think he's ever had the luck of the green or the rub of the green in any race that he's taken part in F1 Creator Series. So you're almost waiting for that luck to turn around to finally get something going, because you almost feel like it's a case of he can't buy a result, but he's done absolutely nothing wrong.
No, not at all. Well, folks, I mean, I must say it's been a tremendous race, and what a pleasure it has been to watch as well. A 13-race calendar that we have to take you through. And it wouldn't be right, first of all, to say a big thank you as well to our huge sponsors as well. Big shout out to IMB and also to EA Sports, our proud partners as well. Now, if you want to check out, if you've enjoyed this broadcast, first and foremost, I hope you have, be sure to leave a follow to the Twitch channel. Also, if you've been tuned in on YouTube, why not leave a subscribe? Also leave a like as well. If you want to check out the socials, at F1 Creator Series on Twitter and as well as Instagram too. We have reels that get posted on there with highlights of various different bits and pieces. And also, you can check out this beloved bunch as well. We'll kick things off with you, Josh. Where can they find you, sir?
Well, I'm most of the time I'll be commentating over on the SRO official Twitch channel. I'm starting a couple of socials under the tag It's ChocoComs. Might post a couple of things here and there on there as well.
Brilliant stuff. Tom, where can they find you, Mr. T-Dubs?
If you head over to Twitter at TDub06, if you're a darts fan on TikTok, do a little bit of darts content. Wilco.darts over there.
Me and you need to hang out more often, Tom. I'm telling you that now.
We can organise that.
Fantastic stuff. And if you want to find me as well, folks at home, you can indeed. At George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. Big shout out as well to our producing maestro, Gareth Allen, behind the scenes as well, who pulled off a ridiculous show for you guys here tonight. I tell you what, loved it. Absolutely brilliant. Make sure you give some love to Gareth Allen too. But to all of you out there, hope you all enjoyed that. A truly fantastic way to start Season 9. The reigning champ is back. Could he be 3-time? It's Tiamat Marduk. We'll find out to see whether his story continues in round 2. Good night.